All right. Yeah, I woke up this morning at 3:45. Normally I'm up at 3:30. I was up 15 minutes late today, 3:45. And I felt like it was an icebox in my house. My wife's probably gonna be pissed because, like, I turned the heat way up. I know it makes no sense to turn the heater beyond the temperature that you want the room. I know heaters don't work like that. I understand it. But when I'm freezing at 3:45 in the morning, I'm like, tuck, 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 tuck. But yeah, I had that same, like, those mornings where you just don't want to get from beyond the comforter. There's a reason why it's called a comforter. Mm-hmm. Yeah, look at this. Feels like 25. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, sorry. I thought this was going in a different direction with that news story. So this video. High five. Oh! You assaulted me! Threw me down a flight of stairs! Guy, this is a guy, it's called the Long Island Audit, and the dude basically just goes around the country looking to find cops behaving badly. He gets no sympathy from me, but a listener sent it to me yesterday. I'm probably going to talk about it just to lead off the show. I got Franz coming on for a bonus legally served in the 8 o'clock hour to talk about it. But, what's this guy's name that sent it to me? Shane, well, I don't want to say Shane's last name, or we might be on YouTube by now. Anyway, he's like, don't you find this appalling? I'm like, he walks around, films in the city halls, films in police stations and all that stuff. Hey, morning, Christy. I'm like, no, I don't. Your rights are being trampled on. No, they're not. This is not like it. I have no idea where in the Constitution it says we can walk up and down City Hall with cell phone cameras. Like, can you point to me to the cell phone camera in City Hall stipulation in the Constitution? Anyway, it's a public building. I don't care. You're here to be an asshole. You're here to be an asshole and antagonize people. You are here to get the reaction that you got, and you got the reaction you wanted. Now go back to Long Island. Don't try to tell me you're in Baton Rouge out of your own goodwill. You're in Baton Rouge because you care about our rights. No, you're in Baton Rouge because videos like this that create confrontation and spark emotion are here to get you clicks for your monetized YouTube channel. Anyway, apparently I'm in the minority on this because everybody else thinks these cops are out of hand. And it's the constable's office. At the end of the day, it's the constable's office that threw him down a flight of stairs.
Was that here in Baton Rouge?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and the guy, like the guy titles it Long Island Audit, so I guess I'm not giving him more clicks. I'm not going to look at more of his content. But I scrolled through his page, and he's got a couple of, he's got a bunch of going around from city to city.
So, this is not ready for prime time, so we're not releasing it yet. But I mean,
I didn't go visit. I saw your email the other day.
Yeah, I mean, I'm way just like still. This is like second draft mode, but
okay.
But the fact that I finally got the domain, but that's where I do it.
Hey, nice. Does that go back to where?
Goes to that page.
Okay. Okay. Very nice.
be up there. So if you
Very nice, very nice.
send us any questions a week kind of thing.
Yeah. Nope.
Oh, yeah, you might want to take that microphone.
606 at Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Good morning, everybody. Brian here with you. Jake producing. We call it Mornings with Brian Haldane. Off and running on this chilly Friday morning. Dude, it's cold out. Was looking at the forecast a minute ago on the monitor. We got WBRZ on the monitor in here, as we do every morning. And while it's 34 degrees outside, Marissa's telling us the wind chill, or we now call it a feels like temperature, is 25 in Baton Rouge. And I buy it. I'm believing that for sure. But 34 degrees to start off your morning. It's probably going to dip by another degree or two as the sun starts to come up. And we're only going to get up to 42 today, all the way down to 28 overnight tonight. Looking ahead to tomorrow night, same thing. And going to stay around freezing overnights for, I don't know, the next 3-4 nights, 5 nights maybe. I'm looking ahead throughout the forecast to about next Thursday, overnight low 37. Friday, overnight low 39. So it's going to stay chilly for a while, y'all. Mid-50s during the day, though. I can take it. Seasonably cold, right? This seasonably appropriate cold weather. I'll take it. Got a big show for you today. Got a jam-packed show for you today. And I got to start off by giving a shout-out to a listener. Now, I have no idea if this listener is listening at 6:08 in the morning. And I don't want to give out his last name. I'm not like here to dox somebody while I give him a shout-out. But his name's Shane. Shane was one of 3 people that brought a video to my attention yesterday. Have you seen it yet? This guy who goes by the video title Long Island Audit, or the YouTube channel Long Island Audit. Basically, he's one of these I'm going to find cops behaving badly guys. One of these I know my rights guys. One of these guys that's going to put a video on YouTube of him getting himself pulled over and then cracking his window by an inch when the officer asks him to roll his window down. Anyway, he made a visit to Baton Rouge and ran into a little kerfuffle at the city hall. And he now has 165,000 views on his YouTube channel. And we're going to have a legally served discussion about that at 8:15. Made some calls to different law enforcement outfits. Couldn't get hold of the constable's office, though. Don't know what's going on there. I'm sure they're inundated with the calls right now. But it's going to be an interesting discussion because I think it talks more about who we are as a people than it does about how this one, can't use that word, how this one individual was treated while in Baton Rouge. That is just one of the segments today. Haggai Davis in for a cup of tech gumbo coming up at 6:35. Looking forward to this. Can you put a valuation on Fortnite? No, wait, can you do it again? Because that was way too high. Sony has way overpaid for Fortnite. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about freeing up storage on your iPhone. Can you trust Google? Well, that should be a talk topic, but the answer is just no. Anyway, Haggai Davis in for a cup of tech gumbo at 6:35. In our 7 o'clock hour, State Representative Tannaer Magee at 7:15. The redistricting session lasts 20 days. We're going to try and check in with a different state legislator on at least one a day all the way through the session until we know what our new redistricting maps look like. Tanner's from the home area. He's a regular on the show. Love having Tanner on. It's always great conversation. Today will be as well as we'll talk about what went down throughout the first week, or first 4 days of the redistricting session from the House's perspective, from the House's side. They've got their maps. The Senate has their maps. Normally they're able to respect each other's turf when it comes to the maps. Like if the Senate says, here's how we want the Senate to look, and the House says, here's how we want the House to look, it'll be like a thumbs up in both directions. Then they team up to map out judicial districts, congressional, the U.S. Congress, and the like. We'll talk with Tanner at 7:15. 7:35, actually technically 7:40. Looking forward to this one as well. Reggie Flood is the host of the Jaguar Journal here on Talk 107.3 FM. I have been trying to run down somebody to talk about the candidates to be the next Chancellor of Southern University. And finally I was like, wait, why don't I just call Reggie? I got a guy right here on my station. Reggie's going to talk about the finalists as the last of those interviews wrapped up yesterday. Southern is looking for the next chancellor. We're going to talk about it with Reggie Flood at 7:35. That plus top stories and trending, the outside in, this day in history, and a whole lot more coming your way throughout the show this morning. We are due up for a quick break. Actually, before we get to that break, got to ask if you got your lunch plans yet. I mean, it's 6:11 in the morning. You got your lunch plans yet? Why wouldn't you? Well, you know where I'm sending you. I'm sending you to Mooyah Burgers, Fries, and Shakes. I'm sending you over to Segan, just north of Industriplex. I'm sending you to Bluebonnet at Highland. Whichever location you are closer to, Mooyah's got you covered. Day like today, colder like this, you like to get all of the ingredients together for just a heartwarming burger, right? Comfort food, right? Not just a regular cheeseburger. Maybe cheddar and bacon on the burger. The cheddar bacon burger is fantastic. Or, yeah, classic cheeseburger will do you right. Double Diablo will spice it up real good as well. Freshly baked potato buns, certified Angus beef, freshly cut vegetables every single day, and oh, by the way, sweet potato fries. Sweet potato fries are just better than regular fries. Dip them in honey, game changer. Segan just north of Industriplex or Bluebonnet at Highland. Mooyah Burgers, Fries, and Shakes has got you covered today. All right, quick break. When we come back, let's talk a little sports next.
When you drive a Chevy, it's time for a fresh approach and a new perspective. Meet new friends or reconnect with some old ones. See the world.
By the way,
I
I tried to, I didn't realize that you were conducting that interview yesterday when I went and knocked on the door before I left.
Uh-huh.
I like your idea. Footnotes, great name, by the way.
Yeah.
We should make that a thing when the World Cup's going on, which is this summer.
Okay. Yes, let's do that. Yeah, because even then, you listen to Moscona very much. Okay, the last segment of the Moscona show, Otterlocks, when Jimmy gives picks, nobody in South Louisiana gives a shit about hockey, right? But every Thursday, Otter talks to this guy named Dwayne Colucci from New Jersey who knows hockey inside and out. I'm still not going to care about hockey, but every Thursday, we're getting, not this week because it's the All-Star break for the NHL, but every Thursday, I didn't know, because it's hockey, who cares? But you get Colucci's picks every Thursday, and it's a whole thing with Moscona, like, Colucci, and he plays the horn and all that stuff. Anyway, Jake loves soccer. I don't give a shit about soccer. Nobody gives a shit. Sorry. Nobody gives a shit about soccer. But if I can make money off of soccer, give me some picks. So we're going to do a little FUT with the dots, footnotes. Eric says we agree on something. What do we agree on? This ass hat? The ass hattery? What, the guy from
Yeah, just the term ass hattery.
Ass Hattery? That's exactly what it is.
That's all it needs to be.
Now, your WBRZ traffic update from Ashley Boucher.
Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. I know my rights. You don't. Oh, nice. Is that for this year's parade?
No.
Oh.
Well, that's this year's. That's their parade this year. But
Well, that, obviously it's not from this year's
No, I
parade.
know.
Is it promoting this year's
yes,
parade?
promoting
Okay.
this year's parade. So the and it just scrolls, but there's like 5 or 6 pictures. So the ancient athletes.
You do ancient athletes?
for 30 years now.
Really? I did not know that.
Yeah, but that's that. We're out there with the little basketballs in that parade.
Yeah, oh yeah. It was my
This report is brought to you by Shophouse, where you can get up to $100
Carrie has like taken part. She'll pass by and handing out the balls and letting them shoot back and whatnot. Yeah, Carrie's done that a couple times.
Oh, I love
just-
doing that. I
fun.
mean, that's what we're. So that's I love to and so I always get out in front of the truck.
Yeah.
I'm passing the ball, and just I don't. Because you stand back behind, you're in the target zone.
Exactly.
So I don't want to.
Exactly, and most kids can't really.
Oh, but you get these teenagers who think they're.
616 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Got the Fox Business Report coming your way less than 4 minutes from right now. We're narrowing down on Super Bowl week. Joe Burrow. All eyes will be on Burrow next week. This is going to be fun, y'all. I'm really looking forward to it because up until now, there has been no stage that has been too big for him. And it's going to be fun to see if this one will be, can he keep the same level of cool next week that he's had up until now? You would think just an inkling of nervousness would show. It's his first Super Bowl. It's his second year in the NFL. The Bengals were not supposed to sniff this. So you knock off the top 2 seeds in the AFC. They prove they belong there. Now, once you land in LA and you've got to make the media tour and all the other cool stuff that goes on that surrounds Super Bowl week, all the hype, all the festivities, all the NFL experience and all of it, the lights get a little bit brighter, a little bit hotter under the lights for sure. Will it start to get to him? Because it hasn't yet.
Coming into this week, game prep, it just feels like another week. Obviously, it's the Super Bowl, and we're going to have to try to eliminate as many distractions as we can, but it just feels normal.
Right now. Wait till you land. Wait till you're in the house. Wait till it really starts to ramp up. Burrow had the opportunity to speak with 5-time Super Bowl MVP Tom Brady. Brady just wrapped up a 22-year career, and look, 22 years is a heck of a long time, but I love the fact that Brady goes out as Burrow comes in. I know I'm playing fanboy here, but I love the timing of that. It's like a handing off of the torch. For Burrow, reaching and possibly surpassing that level of excellence, that's his goal.
Yeah, that was fun. It's fun to hear him talk about plays in the past. He remembers every little detail about everything that's happened in his career. Obviously try to emulate a guy like that. He's had a great career, and I hope to get there someday.
The question becomes: will part of Tom Brady's success is not all Tom Brady? Yes, he did it in Tampa as well as he did it in New England, but that's about having the right franchise from top to bottom, right? That's about having Belichick on the sidelines. That's about having the New England Patriots as the dynasty they were. Now, when it all comes down to it, the spotlight of a quarterback in the NFL, probably the biggest pressure cooker there is in sports. But if you're Joe Burrow, that's what you look for.
There's great players at every position in the NFL, but I think only a few really affect the game in a drastic way, and I think quarterback is the one position on the field that can really affect the game on every single play. And I like having the ball in my hands every play and being able to win or lose with me.
I mean, even in baseball, a pitcher has to sit down while you're on offense, right? Anyway, Super Bowl's not till next week. Coming up tomorrow, 5 p.m., LSU will be at Vanderbilt in men's basketball. This is a tough sled for LSU. They don't do well at Vanderbilt. We'll talk about it after the Fox Business Report.
How long did it take you to think of footnotes?
It was just one of those ones.
I love the name. Footnotes. It's perfect because it's just a small segment.
Yeah.
It's a footnote of the
It's
show.
like, maybe 60 seconds of a, yeah.
I was thinking about that in the car ride home.
So you're saying you like double entendres?
Any chance to talk about the beautiful game is an opportunity.
No, we're not. We're talking about soccer.
But you can't use your hands.
Half the segments
We're talking about-
being like, it's the beautiful game.
It's a bunch of grown-ups playing chase in a pasture.
Yeah, the World Cup's a gold mine.
Yeah.
Everyone, even Americans.
Well, I want to hit this from the gambling angle for sure. So start tracking now whether or not you're good at picking them. I don't know how lines work in soccer because most games end 0-0 or 0-0, whatever.
Play 120 minutes of a game and then do shootouts.
Sometimes. That's
Yeah.
very rare. Like extremely rare.
Oh, no.
Except in international competitions.
In international competition, when you're playing a tournament, yeah, if it's single elimination or if it's a
Here, I'll give you an example. Where's some soccer in my DraftKings app there? Oh.
give me something that I can just tell you off the rip.
Mexico Liga? Is that it?
That's the Mexican league. I don't know
Okay.
the Mexican league.
You don't have to. All right. Club America is minus 190. They're playing Atletico San Luis.
Club America should win.
Club America's they're minus 190, so they're the favorites. Atletico, not Atletico, there's no H in here. Atletico San Luis is plus 550. A draw is plus 295. So your odds are favorite, tie. Your odds are greater of a tie than they are of the underdog actually posting up.
Well, that's because the skill gap between the two teams are that close, as opposed to, like, if it's an outweigh like one favorite right there, but
And then, like, where you have a favorite, your odds are going to be a negative, right? Like for this one with Club America, it's
Yeah.
minus 190. Okay, well, then you've got Juarez versus Guadalajara Chivas.
we're not picking a good league for this.
Juarez
test
is
run.
plus 180, a draw is plus 190, and Guadalajara Chivas is plus 175. Nobody is the favorite at all.
Yeah, some games I wouldn't put money on because they.
Well,
could go
then you're
anyway.
not a degenerate.
What?
I actually bet money on a college I've never heard of yesterday.
I don't know if I told you, but Mathern's
Bellarine?
46.
Ballerine? They played Liberty yesterday in basketball. Do what?
Thorns at 46.
Gotcha. Oh. Yeah. Let me get that done beforehand. Eric says, yeah, we agree on the YouTuber. Bro. Look. If you're walking up and down the street looking to chase down cops to get them on video, I'm sorry. I don't feel bad. Like, if a cop does something to you, then that cop has done something wrong. Like, if I get up in your... You know what? I talked about this with Shane, one of the guys who sent it to me. I talked with him about it yesterday. He says, I see it like this. If someone calls me an a-hole and I punch them in the nose, I am guilty of assault even though I've been baited. I talked about baiting cops for a while in the conversation. See, yeah, but if you're up at somebody's grill, calling them names, shouting them down, provoking them, and they punch you in the face, they've assaulted you, but I feel zero sympathy for you. .624 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. So, if you follow LSU men's basketball, they're on the road tomorrow, 5 p.m. tip-off. They'll be at Vanderbilt. On paper, LSU should beat Vandy and beat them handily. Here's the thing, though. LSU doesn't do well at Vandy. It's a black hole of a gym. It's weirdly laid out. Coaches are on the sideline. Teams are on the baseline. It's a strange place. It has no business in being in sports, much less the Southeastern Conference. But tip-off is for 5 p.m. LSU looking to get right again. They were supposed to get right at home versus Ole Miss the other night, but that didn't play out. It'll be on our sister station, Eagle 98.1. Will Wade's team looking to get back to 500 in conference play. And if they don't do it there, they stay on the road to go to Texas A&M next week as well. So, 5 p.m., John Brady and Chris Blair will be on the call on the LSU Sports Radio Network. Pre-game starts at 4:30. Supporters of the family of Ronald Green held a little press conference yesterday. Green, as we've covered the story a couple times, the governor held a press conference earlier in the week. Ronald Green, who died after a violent struggle with state troopers back in 2019. Some of the supporters include different civil rights organizations and other families that have lost loved ones to police violence. There was a press conference yesterday, and you're going to hear more about this in our news from Louisiana Radio Network at the bottom of the hour. There was a press conference yesterday to respond to the governor's statements. Crystal Muhammad, chair of the new Black Panther Party for Self-Defense, says the governor must be held accountable for his words and actions.
We find that the statements, the 54-minute press conference held by Governor Edwards, those statements should be brought into a court of law for this conspiracy to cover up a murder, the murder of Ronald Green.
Wait, what? Play that one more time, please.
We find that the statements, the 54-minute press conference held by Governor Edwards, those statements should be brought into a court of law for this conspiracy to cover up a murder, the murder of Ronald Green.
Okay. I mean, that's kind of what's at question, right? That's kind of what the governor's being accused of. What the governor had to say at the podium when he held his press conference earlier in the week was he read back the text multiple times, or he read back the text and then went over his timeline multiple times. The gap between what the text said and when he found out or saw the video was about a year and a half. But what Muhammad says right there is accusing the governor of knowing all of it ahead of time. So the governor met with the family of Ronald Green, was it yesterday or the day before? It sounds like from that perspective that meeting was not as fruitful as it could have been. Devin Norman, part of the Lafayette Community Collective, the Village 337. Oh, 337. My bad. It's Lafayette. Said that Governor Edwards neglected to act in the best interests of the citizens he swore to protect. He's only speaking because of mounting political pressure.
Well, I see a governor now that's losing sleep, but it has to do to me more with his personal political gain than it does to do with his heart, than it does to do with his servitude to the people.
Okay, there are problems with the governor's timeline. There were a number of problems with what the governor had to say the other day. I get that, and I get all the accusations. I get where Muhammad's at. This particular comment, though, from Mr. Norman, how does this benefit the governor's political future? This lame duck governor, we're not to his last year yet, so nobody's calling him a lame duck yet, but he's not running for governor again. How is this protecting his political future? He has said repeatedly he's not running for another office. He's going back home to Tangipahoa Parish. Those are his immediate plans. What's going to happen with this case, and we see it way too many times, the number of people who want the spotlight, the number of people who want the podium, the number of people who want the story to be about them is going to ruin things for the family of Ronald Green. Norman also says the governor ignored protesters and their calls for actions in 2019, and that Edwards stayed out of the fray to preserve his chances for re-election in 2020.
We realize now that dealing with the COVID battle was more politically expedient than dealing with a matter of racism that was happening in our state.
You know what? Sit back and let the circus happen. Fine. If you want hyperbole and rhetoric to rule the day rather than the facts of the case, fine. Keep going. If you want to make sure that the Village 337 is the focus of the case and not Ronald Green and or his family, fine. Have at it. Green's family was supposed to participate in the call. They were reportedly meeting with their attorneys and were unavailable for comment. Not to worry, though. There's plenty of people that want the microphone, for sure. Cup of Tech Gumbo's coming up next. We got to check news. We'll check CBS News. You're probably going to hear that same soundbite again because, well, why wouldn't you? From Louisiana Radio Network. We'll check traffic. We'll check weather. We're coming right back at it after this. Right here on Talk 107.3 FM. I'm just exhausted already from that. All right, here comes news.
liked. Whose book I wrote it was
Jim Inkster?
Inkster, having John Bellow vice president.
That was a fun scenario, wasn't it? I like to see, and that's he's good. It's like I would not have put that, but you know what? It's not that far fetched.
It's plausible. I mean,
when you think about it in terms of and what Jim had to say about white Democrats in Louisiana, I mean, they might as well be on the endangered species list. Shit like that. The last time. That's exactly why. There's no more room for, like, if politics is, and I had this conversation with Franklin Foyle yesterday about majority-minority districts. Is that the only thing that concerns any of us? Hey, do you need safe roads, good schools? Do you need a reliable electrical grid or clean water? No. It's are you black or are you white? That's the only thing that matters anymore.
I agree.
And if you're going to phrase things in that way, and if everything's going to be positioned like that, then yeah, you're fighting a losing battle. There it is. Byron says soccer has the biggest drama queens in sports. What with how they exaggerate being hurt, the flopping and whatnot. He kicked me. You know what? They might as well make YouTube videos about going into City Hall. Hey-o! Galen says, I saw the video. Push down the stairs is very exaggerated. Bro, like, he might as well have said they threw me off the building. They threw me off the top floor of the building. I plummeted to my death, and I'm here to tell you about it.
And yes, Galen, we're not going to talk about Facebook losing a quarter of their value yesterday. Not today. We'll talk about it next week. But
it's the first time they lost new users, right?
They went down by 1 million views. People logging into Facebook on average. First time they've ever gone down. They've 1 million fewer people averaging in the month of January logging into Facebook.
Unique or repeated?
Just number of people. Normally there've been
so I logged into Facebook twice this week. Twice. That's it. Normally I'm in Facebook 2-3 times a day. But I made a mental note of it when I realized that the number was down. I'm like, I wonder where repeated users are in there, because the notifications pop up, you clear your notifications and get right back out. I haven't scrolled through Facebook in I don't know when. I don't think I've scrolled through Facebook this year looking for just content.
They went from 2.93 billion to 2.92 billion people logging into Facebook.
Like logging in at all. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you're down 1 million. You went from 2.93 to 2.92 billion people. You went down by 1 million, and that's a rounding error. But nonetheless, it is a trend going down. And Zuckerberg's blaming TikTok.
Damn right.
I mean,
could
it be that you've got a cesspool that you've created and everybody's...
Well, no, you're never going to look inward first. You're going to look outward first and blame others.
When you're Zuckerberg, yes.
He's right. Those users, you will see a direct correlation. Those users that were over here are now over here.
Absolutely.
And when you want us to talk about time spent on the app, not just logging in, but time spent on the app, here. It's not even close. Byron says Franz is doing his part to help Facebook. I'm sorry, he's to help FB. Does FB stand for Facebook or Franz Borghardt?
Well played.
Thank you. I know. Hey, let me do it after the break, but before the weather.
You got about a minute.
I need a good weigh-in today. because I'm about to destroy myself.
Really?
Oh. You're going to hear about it in about 30 seconds.
Okay. And yes, Byron, I was old 100 years ago.
I guess I'm up after Lars, right? Okay. We are in the heart of King Cake season, and I have got a nice little secret for you. Swing by Mathern's Market, downtown on 3rd Street, or Nicholson in the Nicholson Gateway Shopping Center, right across the street from Tiger Stadium. You can't miss them. So what's your favorite kind of king cake? Do you like it original, the traditional king cake, or do you like it stuffed with cream cheese, the strawberry filling? The Bavarian cream is one of my personal favorites. Praline, pecan, you name it. Get ready for it. You ready for it? Are you ready for it? Are you ready for it? Wedding cake. I'm about to destroy myself. Please, when you go by Mathern's, make sure you save me one. If there's only one left, leave it there because I'm going after the show today. Wedding cake, king cake, available at Mathern's. I cannot wait to dive into this, y'all. So decadent. So good. By the way, they're also a full-service grocery store. Not that that matters during king cake season because we could just live off of king cake, thrive off of king cake, or swing by for your lunch today. Either way, downtown on 3rd Street or Nicholson right across the street from Tiger Stadium, Mathern's Market has got you covered for king cakes and carnival season.
I was going to just drive straight home.
No.
I'm going to drive right by it.
Well, since I know you, I'll ask if there's only one left, like, take it. And I'll hit you up later. So they got the display. It's kind of an L-shaped, like, so the wedding cake ones are all the way to the left, like they're the second row. So you gotta kind of dig a little bit. Blaine Besh got one yesterday, and I'm like, I wanted to get one while I was there yesterday, but I'm like, number one, there's no way I can have this in my house and not inhale it. They do a wedding cake bread pudding.
Really?
Oh, you want to talk about put myself in a diabetic coma in the middle of LSU sports. When I see that out, oh, forget it. Forget it. Yeah. So if a wedding cake bread pudding is going to get it, a wedding cake king cake is food porn. It's time for a cup of Tech Gumbo. It's time to welcome in Haggai Davis. He's the host of Tech Gumbo, and he joins us every Friday to talk a little bit about different matters in the tech world, which is kind of a growing thing. I mean, you would think there was a time where we just talk about backing up your computer or how to make sure your phone's all clear and you got enough space left, but we're talking about everything now. It all falls under the umbrella of Tech Gumbo at this point. What's happening, sir?
There is never a shortage of things to talk about on Tech Gumbo.
No, there's not. Keep going. I'm sorry, my wife just texted me. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, no, and it's not. There's never a shortage of things to talk about, whether it be electronic vehicles, whether it be cyber threats, whether it be identity theft, or whether it be paying $3.6 billion for Fortnite, for crying out loud.
Yeah, so last week Microsoft bought Activision Blizzard, and they spent $75 billion cash to buy this big, huge conglomerate that just makes a ton of video games. But they have a huge repertoire of total games. So Sony, they got nervous, and they run out and they bought Bungie, which is another company that produces all these video games. And they spent $3.6 billion for it. And they overpaid by a factor of, maybe 15 or so. They made $200 million last year, and Sony paid $3.6 billion for it.
Yes. Why?
Because they're scared. Because Microsoft, with the Xbox has what's called Game Pass, and right now there's 100 and something games that for $16 a month you can have unlimited access to play all of the games you want. When Microsoft buys, if the FTC allows the acquisition of Activision Blizzard to go through, Microsoft's going to have over 500 games that they can play on their Xbox with their Game Pass. Sony won't have anything. I mean, Sony does not have a big, huge, portfolio of games to play on the PlayStation, and so they're nervous that, oh my God, we're about to get wiped out, or because we're not going to have enough games as Microsoft, we're not going to be competitive. So they go out and they overspend to get Bungie.
Okay, so Bungie is the name of the parent
company.
Yeah,
because Bungie made the game Halo, but Halo is because Microsoft had bought Bungie, but then spun it off, but they retained Halo. So the biggest game that Bungie ever created is Halo, but Microsoft kept the licensing and the rights for Halo for their Xbox. So even though Sony is buying Bungie, they're not getting Halo.
Interesting. So basically, they just bought Fortnite.
Yes. And a few other, little games. There's Destiny is one of their big games. I'm not a big, PlayStation gamer, so I don't.
Yeah, I don't know anything about any of this. I just know how popular Fortnite is.
And, and Halo and Minecraft and all of these other games that Microsoft has on their Xbox that PlayStation doesn't. And so when you're going to flip the coin and decide, do I buy an Xbox, do I do a PlayStation? Wow, for $16 a month, I can have all these games I can play unlimited amount, or I can get a PlayStation and go drop $60 per game to be able to play. So if I play 3 months worth of games on Xbox, I've more than got my money back from the 3 games I bought to play on PlayStation.
So if I read the article and what my takeaway was, Sony looks to take Fortnite to another level. Would that be an inaccurate takeaway?
That's very inaccurate.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, because Sony is not creating or trying to embellish or improve Fortnite. Sony is trying to put something inside their portfolio of what they can offer to you. Mm-hmm. And if Sony was really trying to make the game better, they would have just created a whole new division of gamers, of programmers, coders, and whatnot to create a new game. They're not trying to do that. They're trying to buy a name.
Right. Well, they're looking to buy their way out of trouble. They see themselves being outpaced on a number of different levels, and they're looking to just pay for their way out of it by absorbing their competition.
They see themselves being crushed.
Yeah. So you remember when Starbucks was on every corner and then they started scaling back? You remember when Blockbuster was everywhere and started scaling back? Sure. You remember Borders Books? Like, there's a number, which eventually became Amazon. There's a number of different Kmart. There's a number of classic examples of this where this level of overreach is a bad thing. So looking at Fortnite, and I don't play any of these things, but I know how popular Fortnite is.
Sure. Okay.
Looking at Fortnite as being not a video game, but a generational movement. Looking at it through that lens, I had a level of curiosity as to whether or not Sony felt that Fortnite could be turned into something much bigger than a game. Something that's a lot more all-encompassing, especially as we move to this meta world, especially as we move to more VR. Like, can you take what is the existing Fortnite and turn it into a universe where we don't, replace your TV, replace your social media, replace advertising, and you funnel it all into the fake world of Fortnite?
And the whole metaverse, I think, is going to be a way overblown thing.
Me too. But the number of people who are all in that it's going to be the new reality. Virtual reality will be the new reality. Metaverse will replace you and I talking. There will be a virtual cup of tech gumbo.
More people have problems putting the virtual reality goggles on, they get disoriented with it, and so it's
Especially if you wear glasses.
it's just gonna be very difficult for that whole genre to really launch and be a driving force. The augmented reality, where you actually see through the goggles, but you have a screen up, that's going to be much, much more popular than anything that Metaverse can do.
Well, the problem with the Metaverse, the problem with anything virtual, is it does not feed the bottom floors of Maslow's hierarchy. We'll continue and just legitimately, I can't virtually eat. Although that might be more effective than Go Slim. Cup of Tech Gumbo is going to continue next on Talk 107.3.
You went to Maslow.
Am I wrong?
Grenade! Launch! Oh, it hit your lap. Run!
I can't live in a virtual house and eat virtual food and consume virtual water.
Exactly. No, I
Like, at the end of the day, the goggles have to come off, the meta has to go away and be real.
I'm not disagreeing with anything you just said.
I mean, sorry to cut right to the bottom, cut right to the heart of it.
I think the whole metaverse thing is is stupid. I mean, I think, it's interesting to go, oh, that'll be fun for a little bit, for 5 minutes. See it and go, oh, no, it's kind of creepy.
Oh, I see. I think it could be, like, and at Fortnite especially, can be an escapism for hours upon end. Rather than watching anything produced by Dick Wolf,
they've already had problems with this metaverse. In the limited number of people who have been beta testing it, in the metaverse, guys are walking up to women and grabbing them, groping women in the virtual world. Sexual harassment is out of control in this metaverse.
Wow.
And so if you have women who are automatically saying, I ain't doing that anymore, I'm out, you've lost half the population. You have moms saying, you're not going to get on that kid. I'm not letting my kid on that thing. Now you've really lost. And there's no way to stop. Because you can't stop that.
Well, there's also no way to stop dudes from being virtual women.
Yeah, that's a whole
bots. Like, yeah, the number of Russian accounts that are going to be the willing partners.
Yes.
My wife texted that my reaction to the bread pudding was cringeworthy. She used a different word for it.
Call him out, Christy.
Yeah, she did. She keeps me in check.
I love that.
I was not expecting that from her. That was a lot more blunt than I was ready for. That was good. That was funny.
It'd be better with virtual bourbon. No, it wouldn't.
Right, because you can't get virtually drunk yet.
It might be better once you're drinking bourbon. Taking any kind of hallucinogenic.
Yeah. Oh, no, I have enough problem with drunk texting, much less a whole virtual reality.
You get stoned and then get in there. It's like the college kids who used to watch H.R. Puff and stuff, stoned, back in the 70s.
That's why SpongeBob's still a thing.
Yeah, I mean,
You think SpongeBob's still a thing because kids like it? No! What, SpongeBob? There's no redeeming quality. I did not let my kids... well, they do now, but I held out on SpongeBob for a while. There's no redeeming quality to it. You don't learn anything.
The thing is, the appeal of it is not what it used to be. The first 3 seasons was made by the original creator.
The first 3 seasons were made by the original creator, and his humor was very particular in a sense of, like, it wasn't just this gross, raunchy, like, stretch your face out humor.
It was Ren and Stimpy.
Huh?
It was Ren and Stimpy. The kids weren't getting the jokes. The grown-ups were, for that brand of humor.
Well, in the beginning, it was just objective humor. Like
just as a parent and as somebody who appreciates comedy, if you give me a choice between SpongeBob and Phineas and Ferb, it's a runaway for Dan Povenmire and Phineas and Ferb. Fair. Love them. I watch Phineas and Ferb when the kids aren't in the room. If you've never watched Phineas and Ferb on the Disney Channel,
it's a blast.
It's awesome.
It's one of the best shows for kids.
You'll be shocked with the number of jokes you actually like. references that are directed towards grown-ups, and not in a dirty double entendre way, like
It's
in
just
a
big enough words that kids wouldn't get it, but would still find it funny. But
Right.
adults actually get it. I'm just now getting to the age where like I'm rewatching that stuff, and I'm like, oh wow, this is way better than I realized because it was appealing to both sets.
Phineas and Ferb's parents. They're
generations.
they divorced and then married, so they're stepbrothers.
Yeah.
The parents met at like an 80s, they don't say 80s, but at like a hair band concert. The name of the band, Love Handle. Handel. Love Handle. I don't know, little stuff like that, just brilliant all the way through.
What's the name of the show?
I've never
Phineas,
thought of that.
Phineas, Phineas, and Ferb, Ferb. It's brilliant.
It's a great show. Good music too.
.652, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, CBS World News Roundup coming your way shortly. We do have 7.5 more minutes with Haggai Davis for a cup of tech gumbo. In real life still. We're not in the meta world yet.
Thankfully.
Yeah. If you weren't watching during the break, as we went into break, Haggai and I are in agreement that the meta world will never fully take over. I think it's going to get a little bit deeper than you do, though. I think it very well could replace television. Like, just shows. Because you have the chance to live vicariously through yourself.
I think
much less, you're not living through the Real Housewives or through, or the Reagan family on Blue Bloods. That's the limited amount I watch. But you go where I'm at.
I think YouTube is already replacing TV. I think, the TikToks and things like that is replacing TV already.
I will spend more time watching TikTok than I will watching TV, for sure. For sure, because I can cultivate it to my liking, for one thing. And for another, TikTok doesn't necessarily have to replace TV. It can go along with TV. It's second screen viewing. The metaverse takes over. And so once you're in it, right? It's not like I can watch a little bit of TV and while I'm scrolling.
No, absolutely.
And if there's something I want to pay attention to for 60 seconds, I will pay attention to.
You put those VR goggles on, you're in that world. You see nothing else around you, so it does consume everything about you. And I just have a hard time believing that it's going to really ever be as I think it's just crazy that you're going to spend that much time in a world where you I don't know. I could be wrong, but
but let's walk down that path because I'm in that same boat. So are you and I both aged out of? Yes.
Yeah, they're old. I mean, I
was looking for a nicer way to say it.
I'm old. I mean, I get it. Look, I was old a long time ago. I'm a lot older than you are, and this is to me just I don't see people wanting to spend that much time in. It's one thing when you're playing video games because you are still seeing the world around you, even if unless you're playing a video game with the virtual reality goggles on. But you're taking them off, and then you're going to eat real food, or you're interacting with people. This metaverse just looks awkward and uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm. And I agree. I agree. But it looks more comfortable than, let's say, the Wii. With you're bowling with a stick in your hand. Let's take this to the next level where I have goggles on and I can actually put my fingers in a bowling ball.
But, well, when you were playing the Wii, you weren't playing with the goggles. You were watching the Wii up on the screen,
right?
And you had the stick in your hand, and you were still interacting in the room with the other people, and so you were still in a physical room, and you knew what was going on around you.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. It's weird. We got a lot more ground to cover here. Let's. Are online ads about to go away?
No.
Okay.
No. There's a couple of legislators in Congress and a senator. They put together a bill called the Ban Surveillance Advertising Act, where you're not going to be allowed to track down, or when you're doing video tracking, not video tracking, advertising tracking, the most that you could go is to say, okay, Haggai lives in Baton Rouge, as opposed to saying what neighborhood that Haggai lives in or which street he's on, so that Facebook or Google, who already know my exact address, they want to sell ads to somebody who lives in that part of town. Okay, we've got somebody who lives near LSU. Do you want to advertise that guy, or do you want to advertise somebody who lives in Central? This bill is saying you can't go any further than the city. So, you can only advertise to somebody in Baton Rouge.
I feel like that's specifically drawn out to serve them.
Well, it's trying to get to the equivalent of the GDPR that in Europe, where the General Data Protection Rights.
Thank you for clarifying what GD stood for there.
Yes, in Europe, you can opt out of having all of your information tracked instantly. And by law, these companies in Facebook and Google get in trouble all the time by not giving you the right to opt out of your information being sold and being tracked. And so this is a law trying to get to that, because the United States is just going to have a real difficult time to ever get to the equivalent of the GDPR here in the U.S. because we're such a diverse culture.
Yeah.
So many different diverse cultures in the United States. And
well, not to mention the number of us, part of that diversity is the number of us who actually embrace it. The number of us,
yes.
I've made the reference before of when you walk into a bar and the bartender knows what you order on a regular, the usual. That's what the GDPR is. It's the usual. You're being serviced to your level.
Yes. And so having this bill make an attempt, and it's never going to go anywhere.
I don't think so either.
It's a good attempt to say, hey, let's start talking about it, but it's going to get shot down really bad.
Yeah, this is Representatives Anna Eshoo, Gesundheit, of California, and Jan Schakowsky of Illinois, along with Senator Cory Booker. And you know when Cory Booker speaks up, everybody retreats to the metaverse.
Yeah.
Basically the long and the short of that one. We're not going to have enough time to get into freeing up storage on your phone. So I want to spend these last 60 seconds. We're going to have to preview what's up on Tech Gumbo. But can we trust Google?
No.
Okay. See?
Well, I take that back. The actual answer is yes, you can, unless you're an advertiser, a user, or a company.
That's fair. That's fair. You can trust Google if you own Google. Alphabet.
If you are Alphabet, yes.
If you are Alphabet, absolutely. That will be unpacked a lot more, as will every other topic that's coming up on Tech Gumbo, which includes.
Well, we're gonna talk about how to clean up your phone. If your phone's saying you got too much data and it's shutting down, we go through that on the question of the week.
Saturday and Sunday at 4 and anytime on demand. It is Tech Gumbo. He's the host of Tech Gumbo. Haggai Davis joins us every week. Appreciate you, brother.
You bet.
Here comes CBS News.
Exactly, Troy. I think Foghorn Leghorn is going to be a much better environment for people than the metaverse. He's saying who hadn't learned life lessons from Foghorn Leghorn, Roadrunner, Coyote, Bugs Bunny, or Elmer Fudd.
What? I missed a bunch of comments. I was over on a different platform. Morning, everybody on the YouTubes.
Well, we have our state senator, our U.S. Senator, Foghorn Leghorn.
Yeah, we do.
I like him, too.
I like John.
He's a good guy. I mean, we got to go to his office when my wife won a national award, and he presented her the award, and he's a really nice guy. He just happens to have a unique way of spinning a yarn, shall we say.
Yes. I don't know how it got narrowed down to Foghorn Leghorn, though. With all the different characters that we've had throughout literature, cinema, and everything. I don't know. It's somebody said it. It's stuck, and it's never going away. Once a nickname sticks.
Oh yeah.
Like, ask Glenn Davis if he can get rid of Big Baby. I mean, Glenn Davis is probably getting close to 40 by now.
At least.
Yeah. So, I'll wait until they pull out the full body tactile feedback suits. It's the only way to really experience virtual harassment. I mean, yeah, wait till you get the suits that touch your back.
Have you seen the Cox commercials?
No.
Cox has those suits where they're showing these two guys. One lives here and one's back in the home country in Costa Rica or something like that. And you're sitting there hugging, and the suit is grabbing, so you feel like you're experiencing a hug across the internet.
I don't want it. I don't want it.
They're already doing stuff like that right now. It's not called the metaverse. It's called VR chat.
Yeah. Well, that's going to be folded into the metaverse, though.
Probably. But VR chat's pretty much a reduced version of what we're prophesizing. There are people that just like put on their headphones or their goggles,
Yeah.
get in a room, and they all just hang out. That's it. Or sometimes people just go to sleep.
I'm not. I don't think it's going to do much. I mean, I can't see.
So, okay, not to go back to Maslow's hierarchy, but make the comparison on every single level. Even the emotionally fulfilling levels are hollow at the end of the day. I'm like, it can't feed you. It can't house you. It can make you feel short-term, temporary happiness. But once you allow yourself to fully experience it, you realize it's shallow, it's hollow, it's not real. You have no idea if the image you see in front of you,
I remember watching my
it's
kids.
strip club love.
I remember watching my kids with Minecraft. They were just building out worlds and worlds, and they'd spend hours on the Xbox building this Minecraft world and just doing all the things. And they were just really so. But then they would get okay. Then they turn it off,
Right.
and
walk away.
walk away.
It's going to be harder to walk away when there's what looks like a person in front of you saying, no, don't go.
Right.
But that person is actually somewhere in Kraplakistan. And, like, you believe that they believe, but 3 times within that encounter that you've had with them, they've taken off their headset and handed it to the next person that clocked in.
Yeah, and they get a paycheck from Vladimir Putin every 2
Exactly.
weeks.
I know this is like deep state conspiratorial type crap.
It's not. It's
but
when
it's sci-fi playing itself out.
Right now, when you see a meme on social media that has Nancy Pelosi on it or anything like that, or any kind of anti-vaxxing, that came from Russia. All of anything that is trying to
Have you downloaded TikTok yet?
I think it's on my phone.
Okay, there's an account you need to follow called DisinfoGal, and she used to work for the CIA. I fully believe her because she breaks down disinformation and talks about this stuff all the time.
We've talked about it on our show many times. The number of studies that have proven between 80 and 90% of everything on social media that is designed to get you riled up.
Oh, not just social media. Well, yeah. But it starts on a news site.
Right. Oh, because it gets passed around. Somebody from Fox News or CNBC or whatever MSNBC will grab it, and those people will post, and then it just goes, oh, well, see, it came from Fox News. No, it came from Russia.
Right.
And they're trying to do everything they can to rip this country apart, and they are winning. They are destroying the United States because we are so further and further apart, because it's all about whether you're either black or you're white. There is no in between. There is no. I don't care what color you are. Are you a human? That's irrelevant. You're political left, political right. No, can we just have a conversation?
Right.
No, you have to believe what I say. You have to be lockstep with me 100%, or you're wrong.
Because I could formulate my own universe now.
Absolutely. Wait till that happens.
Right. Thank you.
See ya, YouTube. I got to write that down.
What?
I didn't say Facebook.
Oh, yay! Nicely done. $7:06. Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Hour 2 of Mornings with Brian Haldane coming your way right now. Brian, Jake is producing. I appreciate Haggai Davis for stopping in for a cup of tech gumbo. Very lively conversation both on the air and on YouTube. If you're not watching us on YouTube, I highly encourage it every single day. Get on over to the YouTubes and subscribe. Look, I understand. You're busy. You got to get the kids to school. You got to get yourself to work. When you get to the office later on, fire it on up, and you can fast forward to the spots that you missed. Because I can tell you, the conversation that Haggai and I just had throughout that news break is better than CBS News. Boom, I said it. What's up? Want to fight? All right. We got a big hour coming your way. We're going to get inside the redistricting session. State Representative Tannaer Magee joins us in our next segment. Also this hour, we're going to get inside the search for the next Southern University Chancellor. Reggie Floods, a host of Jaguar Journal. He's going to join us at 7:40 this morning to talk about it. We're going to get you to Top Stories and Trending in just a minute. Top Stories and Trending is presented by the folks over at Complete Collision Center. Look, a lot of rain yesterday. Rain normally leads to more accidents on the road. If you were in an accident, you need to make sure you are taken care of by the best of the best of the best. That's Complete Collision Center. And I can say that definitively because they got the paper to prove it. They got the certifications to prove it. They got the backing of more than a dozen major car manufacturers, the people who make the cars. Say, take your car here. They also have the iCar Gold Class certification. Want to know what that's all about? Well, within this time frame, I could tell you that it puts them in the top 15% of body shops nationwide. If you want to learn more than that, visit CompleteCollisionCenter.com. CompleteCollision.com, CompleteCollision.com. 768-9898 is the phone number. That's important to know it before you even get in an accident. 768-9898. Don't let who you choose to repair your vehicle be your second accident. Check out CompleteCollision.com. Time for Top Stories and Trending. Let's roll. I want it. It's been an ongoing story that possibly has come to a conclusion. 2 people were arrested Wednesday for their involvement in a catalytic converter theft ring that troubled the entire East Baton Rouge Parish area. 39-year-old Matthew Gibson and Brooke Gibson, 34, were booked into the East Baton Rouge Parish Prison for allegedly cutting out and stealing catalytic converters from numerous vehicles. Baton Rouge police officers confiscated, get this, 101 catalytic converters from the Gibsons' residence. Detectives also found various narcotics, including heroin, LSD, illegal prescription drugs, and methamphetamines. I don't know how those stories collide, but whatever. The Gibsons were booked on charges of possession of stolen things over $25,000, contributing to the delinquency of a juvenile, possession of drug paraphernalia, possession with intent to distribute, and possession of a firearm with a controlled dangerous substance. Oh, Piku Lane, we're seeing progress. I feel like we should call on New Orleans' mayor. Phase 2. Work to improve Piku Lane at I-10 has been going on for a while, but one part of the project is almost done. Officials with the Department of Transportation say the bridge over the interstate will be finished during the summer. The bridge is the Phase 2 of the $60 million project. DOTD says it still has a lot on the drawing board for the future interstate exchange. Drivers currently have to use Highland Road or Segan Lane exits to access Piku Lane. In a few more years, that'll no longer be the case. Rodney Mallett with DOTD says, up next, off-ramps and access to I-10 from PQ. However, that has yet to be put out to bid, so construction's not going to start on that one anytime soon. 3 boys threatened staff members and ripped out ceiling tiles during a 2-hour ruckus at the Baton Rouge Juvenile Detention Center. Grabbing this one from the Advocate. Prompting another call from the district attorney to replace an outdated and potentially dangerous facility that saw 2 high-profile escapes last year. While no one was injured in the Wednesday night fracas? You pronounce the A? F-R-A-C-A-S. I've always pronounced it fracas. All right. Because it's like ruckus.
To tell you the truth, I've never heard the word before.
I think it's actually fracas. But it's
Your
like
guess is as good
ruckus.
as mine.
Could you describe the ruckus? District Attorney Hill or Moore said Thursday, maybe this would prompt action. Suggested the jail be torn down and rebuilt to modern standards. A woman was killed by a stray bullet after a confrontation involving a group of juveniles led to gunfire in a neighborhood off Plank Road Thursday afternoon. Baton Rouge Police Department said the shooting happened around 4 p.m. on Cadillac Street near Bluegrass Drive. Police identified the victim as 36-year-old Dolores Jackson. According to a department spokesperson, Jackson was not involved in the dispute, was not the intended target of the shooting. No suspects have been named in this investigation yet. A body was found on the shoreline of the Mississippi River near the USS Kidd yesterday morning. Authorities told WBRZ the body was spotted in the water around 9:45 a.m. Coroner's office, several officers gathered near the levee where the body was found. Police said the body appeared to be that of an adult. They have not yet identified the person. The department has not said whether it appeared foul play was involved in the death yet or not. Those are your top stories. Here's a look at what's trending this morning. Jody Plauche's story of childhood sexual abuse and kidnapping is about to be the subject of a podcast. Almost 4 decades after it happened, the worst moment of Jody Plauche's life still resonates with audiences. Thursday, it was part of one of the country's most popular podcasts. Plauche, those who are longtime Baton Rouge residents are familiar with the story by now. Plauche, who was 11 when his father, Gary Plauche, killed the man who kidnapped and sexually abused his son. Plauche was featured on My Favorite Murder. Well, there's a pleasant title for a podcast, whose twice-weekly podcast received 35,000 listens a month. The podcast cited several published news accounts for the story, including a previous Advocate article, because I'm grabbing this one from the Advocate as well, a previous Advocate article about Plauche's book, Why Gary Why. We've had Jody on the show about Why Gary Why. It's probably time to get him back on again. They're saying this is an effort to tell parents how to spot sexual predators who might target their children. This is Plauche's karate instructor was the one at the heart of this story. Those are top stories in trending. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, Tannaer Magee is going to get us inside the Capitol. We'll break down the redistricting session next. If you've not yet read Why Gary Why and you're familiar with the Jody Plauche story, I highly, highly recommend reading it. It's a riveting book. Riveting might not be the right term. Jurassic Park was riveting. It's a heartbreaking book. I could not put it down. Fracas. Yeah. Because I always read it and my mind thinks ruckus. Because my mind thinks Breakfast Club. That's just how I roll. Child of the 80s. Tiffany says, do not come for the MFM family. What's MFM family? What did I miss? SSADG. I don't know your acronyms, Tiffany.
Let me see if I can decipher.
I've already forgotten everything I talked about in the last segment, so. Fridays, I'm done. I am so done. Oh, you need Tanner's number.
Oh, we're calling him. Gotcha.
Yeah. I was at the wow, dude, Galen, that's crazy. Tiffany, you've got to explain what your acronyms mean. SSADGM? I mean, is this a regular one that I don't know? And the thing is, the way YouTube handles things is if she's like 15 minutes behind, 20 minutes behind, her comment shows up in real time, but she might be talking about something from the middle of Tech Gumbo. I'm Googling MFM. Oh, Midtown Family Medicine out of Albuquerque, New Mexico. I don't think that's it. 717. Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Time to check in on the state legislature redistricting session. We're almost a full week in, but where are we at? Joining us now to talk about it from the Houma area, State Representative Tannaer Magee. Tannaer, welcome back, sir. How are you, man?
Good, man. Thanks for having me on.
Always love having you on. I always appreciate the time. Always appreciate the insight. So we're a couple days in. I mean, we're a couple days of full talk, debate, trading of ideas, and the like. Where are we at with redistricting right now on the House side?
We are going to have our House map dropped this morning, probably within the hour to 2 hours before 9. Chairman John Stefanski has been the person who's been kind of drawing the maps and working on it. And he's been meeting all week with legislators. He started with the base map and kind of getting input, making changes where he could based on input he was receiving. I think he's definitely met with all 105 members once, probably some of them twice, probably some of them 10 times, depending on how they felt about what their district might look like. So that map will go live shortly. Prior to that, the vice chairman of the committee from New Orleans, Royce Duplessis, released the map yesterday. So we'll probably hear those two state house maps on Monday of next week, give the public a chance to digest it and look at it so we can have some good feedback from them. Today, we're going to hear the House's congressional map bill that was filed by Speaker Shake Snyder, a PSC map that was filed by Chairman Stefanski, and a BESI map filed by Representative Thomas out of Jefferson.
Okay, we're going to get back into the nuts and bolts of the individual maps in a minute, but I do want to take a moment to walk down this path of the number of maps you'll have to look at. Because this isn't just 6 congressional districts. It's not just a House map. It's not just a Senate map. It's not just a PSC map or a judicial map or anything else like that. It's all of them. So how does time get divvied up? Because when you break it down, they all matter.
Oh, absolutely. No, that's 100% correct. You don't know what to expect. Any member can file a map, so you don't know how many maps you're going to have going into it. To be honest with you, I'm a little surprised that we've had less maps filed on the House side, and it's just kind of been, just the kind of few ones I've told you about. Mm-hmm. The Senate, on the other hand, has had like tons of maps filed, so it's kind of weird. The Senate's got a lot of members, a lot less members, and they file a lot more maps. We have a lot more members, and we haven't really filed many. So it's kind of interesting to see that we've had just a few maps actually filed to this point.
Within those maps, how much variance is there? Is there a whole lot of, shall we say, border disputes?
Yes. What we've had, Brian, is like 50,000 people leave North Louisiana over the last 10 years. You've seen population growth in the South. So everybody's trying to deal with how do you deal with that kind of shift of people. Every House district has to be the same size. So, and you deal with standard deviation off of it, but roughly 44 to 45,000 people have to be in a House district. So when you lose population, you got to move them around. And so it gets difficult because you have communities that are used to having a representative who may not have just one anymore, and different reps districts themselves may get really big and expansive, trying to cover up and get enough people to fill that population. Then you're also seeing the push for more black representatives, more minority majority districts. They're saying their populations increase, so they want as many as 9 more. And so then, of course, there are people who don't want that. They want them to keep things the way they are. So it's a lot of disputes.
The majority-minority district conversation has been one that's been ongoing on this show. In that, has race taken over every other need on our list as far as debate is concerned? Like, on the outside looking in, it's going to garner a lot of headlines because it's going to garner a lot of clicks because it's going to garner a lot of emotion. But when it gets down to it, the needs of the people of Louisiana, I have more in common with my black neighbors than I do the difference in our color of skin. Like, I want safe roads and good schools and street lights at work and clean water. The clean water has no bearing on what color of skin I have. How much of the race talk has made its way onto the House floor?
A lot, I would say. Yeah. Sometimes I feel like it's more outside interest groups that make that push that conversation. I think the members themselves have a much more balanced view on both sides of the aisle and across both races or all races. More like what you've just discussed. Race is an important factor. We can't deny that. But people in Terrebonne Parish have communities that have their own distinct needs. If you live in coastal Louisiana, that's a specific need that you have that maybe somebody in the interior of the state doesn't have. So you don't want to throw everything away, and because there are some maps out there that have no recognition of any sort of geography and communities of interest, and that's the legal and term they use. Just kind of throws it out the window and just tries to recreate as many minority populations as they can. And that's not good too. So it's a balance, trying to get the right mix. And then one of the things that makes it difficult is, you have high concentrations in Louisiana of black people. And so when you build a district out, it's hard to necessarily get them into a district to even create one of these districts. It's a lot easier said than done, and a lot of it's a math problem and trying to connect things together that makes sense. I don't think anybody likes gerrymandered districts. I've never talked to somebody who said we need more gerrymandered districts. So, all that has to be kind of met, and then you have the reality of you need 53 members of the House of Representatives to vote for this map. No matter, even if I love it, hate it, whatever, you still need, and you're never going to have that perfect map. Perfection is not attainable under this scenario. It's how good can you get it that it can be the best possible map under all circumstances.
The only spot where I'm going to push back here, Tanner, is there is one person in every gerrymandered district that loves it, and that's the person that won the election.
Right. No, agreed.
Speaking of, let's move to the congressional side, the U.S. Congress. We have 6 districts to divvy up there. What are we looking at from the House's side on this one? Are we going to see a second majority district?
I don't think the House is going to pass a second majority district. I think to do so would have to be either gerrymandered to the old, what we call Zorro district that Cleo Fields had a couple of years ago, where it divvied up the state, and it actually got ruled unconstitutional. It gets really difficult. The only other possible, it's really hard to find a possible way, is to try and split Baton Rouge and New Orleans up into 2 different districts. That gets really funky. It gets difficult to do, to be honest with you. And then on top of it, you'd also have to definitely remove the 2 representatives from North Louisiana and combine them into one district. And there's the political realities of that. Those are traditional districts. Those have been historical districts, so that they're hard to get rid of. Just from an inertia standpoint, just from people like them standpoint, just for a whole host of reasons. Yeah. And like I said earlier, there's 2 different geographic regions of the state that have 2 different need sets. Northeast Louisiana has one set, and Shreveport and the Northwest has another set, and it's very different from South Louisiana. So there's real concerns there, and I just think all those factors come into play, and I don't see us doing that.
Yeah, we talked about it with State Senator Franklin Foyle yesterday, that the folks in Monroe and the folks in Shreveport do not want to be part of the same district. It's not like when the state went from 7 districts down to 6, and Lake Charles and Lafayette were like, they were okay kind of combining into one big one, or at least in the aftermath. There wasn't much fallout after the fact, but there's a difference between Duck Dynasty and East Texas. So
right. No, absolutely. I mean, that's the Delta on the east side of the state with the cotton fields and all the stuff that you do over there, and it doesn't really match up to what Shreveport is, sort of a border state to Texas. That's exactly right. So it's difficult. And look, I mean, if Louisiana doesn't fix its economy and we don't start growing people, we're going to lose that congressional seat next go around. So it's going to get consolidated. The only hope we have is that we can do some things to start growing population at a faster rate so that we actually don't lose a congressman next time. But it may happen, and we may be forced down that road. But I think members are going to fight the condensing of those two seats at least for another 10 years.
State Representative Tannaer Magee is our guest. We're talking about the redistricting session that's going on. Tanner, when you talk about North Louisiana, one of the things that's going to should be a game changer is the expansion of broadband. I mean, you take all the rural parts of Louisiana and you make them that much more appealing when you make them that much more connected. So that'll play into the next redistricting session for sure. But for this redistricting session, got to ask, and sticking with the congressional map, how much do y'all hear from our sitting congresspersons? How much do they lobby for their own current territory?
I'll tell you, it's interesting. It depends on the member.
Okay.
Some of them have been very, I don't want to say vocal, but very interested, probably be the best word to use it. Lots of conversations. I don't know that they per se lobby, but they definitely have an interest and want to talk to you about what they think, what they want, or what they like to see, or all those different things. And then a couple of them hasn't done anything at all, has not reached out in any kind of way.
Right.
And it's not been a party thing. I think some people might think, oh, well, the Republicans talk to Republicans, but no. We've had conversations with Representative Carter and Representative Scalise, and some, so I'm just saying it's kind of just up to their personality. Some of them are just sort of ambivalent about, oh, wherever you draw me, I'm fine. You can't draw me too far, so I'm good.
Yeah.
And to the very specific, like, I want this part of the state, So it just kind of comes down to personality.
Yeah, it does, but I was also going at this from the angle of there are a couple of our U.S. congresspersons that used to work in your building, so they might still have relationships, like Troy Carter, Mike Johnson. Steve Scalise has been in D.C. so long, I don't think, you and I might have still been in high school. Nah, it's a stretch. But, like, Congressman Graves did not come from the state legislature up to the U.S. Congress. Congresswoman Letlow did not. Clay Higgins certainly did not. I didn't know if there was a lot of conversing back and forth based off of pre-existing relationships.
Yeah, Mike Johnson served with me, so I mean that's pretty recent. So I was actually on 3 committees with him, sat next to him in all 3. I think I think Mike was a little bit more hands off than I thought he would be based off of those relationships. To be honest with you, he did talk. I mean, he did have interest. I don't want to say he was in the middle and didn't care, but I think he was satisfied as long as there was 2 in North Louisiana. He didn't get down into the details. I found Julia to be very engaging, even though I didn't know her before. Conversations, and I think she's really worked hard to build relationships that didn't come organically. So that's kind of the thing. I mean, I've had a lot of conversations with Scalise's office and Scalise himself. I mean, I think he's been probably one of the more active ones of talking to us.
Interesting, because his district has had the most growth, so he should have the most swag. Might not be the right word. We got less than a minute to go before we get you out of here, and I appreciate your time this morning, State Representative Tannaer Magee. Last thing before I get you out of here, it might be a little too early to crystal ball this, but are we at risk right now of running out the clock on anything to where not as much attention is paid to, like, say, judicial districts or public service commission, that sort of thing?
No, I don't think so. I think it could all bog down, and tomorrow you might call me and might say, well, it's completely wrong, Brian. It's dumpster fire over here. I think once we get the House map released today and moving from the leadership side, I think everything else is going to turn their attentions to, the rest of the maps. I think we can move pretty quickly on them. I mean, I think the House, the tradition in Louisiana has been that, the State House map and the State Senate maps, both chambers just deal with themselves and pass them along. So once we get out the House, we shouldn't have to worry about it when it goes to the Senate and conversely. So I think once we pass those two, both chambers can focus in on PSC and Bessie and Supreme Court if we actually do it, and that's kind of leaving right there.
All right, yeah, if the tradition has shown that one will concede to the other one's needs for sure, and tradition with this current legislature has been a willingness to work together. So hopefully that all works in our favor as the electorate. He's State Representative Tannaer Magee. We always appreciate the time, sir.
No, thank you for having me on.
Always. Talk to you soon. Tannaer Magee out of Houma. Homa's seen some growth down the bayou, but it just lends to going back to the original conversation about majority-minority districts, and I don't want to overlook it. I don't want to ignore it. But at the same time, though, Tanner comes from an area that got hit by Hurricane Ida. Hurricane Ida does not slow down its winds based off of the color of the person who's living there. Here comes news. All right, let me dive back in on YouTube. What you got? Probably. Oh, okay. MFM stands for My Favorite Murder. She was listening in real time. Okay. She says, I'm listening live today. All right. My Favorite Murder. I at least recognize how distasteful that.
Yeah, what I meant to ask you, during your Gumbo segments, at one point you all were talking about like gaming and stuff.
Yeah.
And like obviously the lesson is just like learn about the whole scenario of like, this whole move and stuff. Like if there's an instance where neither of y'all fully understand it, but I do, can I chime in?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, but our conversation was not about the games themselves.
Yeah. Well, it was just
So.
like a quick moment where both y'all like were drawing a blank.
Well, no. I wasn't drawing a blank. I was pleading ignorance on playing Fortnite. But it's not about whether or not I play Fortnite. It's about where's the growth within the realm. And it's not about the game itself. Like my nephew, my godson plays Fortnite. And so I'm familiar enough with it to know how consuming it can be.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I'm only asking like if it fits, may I chime in for some
Absolutely. Don't just railroad though. Like, give me. I saw your heads up, and yeah, I was. If I didn't already know where the conversation was going, I would have been like, yeah, come on. So, Byron says it'll take a lot more than broadband to make North Louisiana appealing. I mean, you can live in Louisiana, which is awesome. You can be, a couple of hours away from real Louisiana, which is decent. You can be far enough removed from the hurricanes that you're not going to have your house destroyed, except for Laura. Laura did a lot of damage in North Louisiana. But there is a lot appealing about it. I get that you're making a joke. We have a lot to offer here, especially when it comes to materials, resources, the things that can be appealing in a new generation of the energy sector. So apparently the tagline for My Favorite Murder is stay sexy and don't get murdered. That's what Tiffany says. I should have known Tiffany was going to listen to this podcast. I would have known that.
I mean, I guess the goal of a tagline is to be remembered, and I think that's alarming enough to where I would at least think about it one day, bizarrely. Stay sexy and don't get murdered.
Stay sexy and don't get murdered.
Well, I guess that's words to live by? Question mark. Oh.
I can't. I'm going to crap all over it. I don't want to do that. This is where we're at now. The Real Life Real Crime podcast, I'm a huge fan of. we've had the host on a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
He does not make light of the weight. Anyway, he's a former law enforcement, but he does not make light of the weight of what murder actually is.
Because it's like actual death.
Yeah. And I'm not calling Tiffany out.
No.
This is everywhere. And there's a certain level of intrigue or else you wouldn't. The Investigation Discovery Network would not exist if it didn't trigger our minds to follow it.
Do you think it's more the fascination of it, or is it because we're desensitized to it?
So I think it's more from Tiffany's perspective. It's 100% fascination, and an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And if you can consume the content in order to be aware of it in your real life, then you're absolutely going to do that.
100%.
But I think for a number of people out there, Haggai was talking about the amount of sexual harassment in the virtual reality world.
Yeah.
Imagine when you can create a virtual murder. Live out your fantasy of killing somebody.
Play Grand Theft
without
Auto.
actually killing somebody. And then, 7:37, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. So the interviews have been wrapped up as Southern looks to narrow in on a president and chancellor. The last of those was Dennis Shields from the University of Wisconsin-Platteville, giving us a closer look at who will replace the previous president-chancellor is Reggie Flood. He's the host of the Jaguar Journal. You hear it right here on Talk 107.3 FM, Saturdays from 7 to 9 a.m. Reggie, how are you, man?
I'm great. How are you doing this morning, Brian?
Doing very well. So, first of all, my apologies, because I should have had you on about this very, very early on. I'm racking my brain, and I just associate you with Jaguar sports, not the educational end. So I needed to bring you into the fold on the educational and on the university's end. So
yeah,
we'll lead with my apologies.
No problem. I understand. A lot of people just associate me with the sports side, but I keep up with the educational side. I come from a Southern family, so a lot of degrees in my family from Southern, and including mine. So I understand, though.
You have a stake in the game, as it were.
Yeah.
So Southern has narrowed it down to the finalists. Who are we looking at, and who do you think is the front runner?
Well, we have Lawrence Alexander, who's the chancellor of the University of Arkansas Pine Bluff. Dr. Walter Kimbrough, who's the president of Dillard University in New Orleans. And as you mentioned before, Dr. Dennis Shields, the chancellor, I shouldn't say doctor, but Dennis Shields, the chancellor of the University of Wisconsin-Platteville. I think of all of those candidates, I think they're all very good candidates. As a matter of fact, I think all 5 of the semifinalists were very good candidates. It's very unusual that you get a list where all of the candidates are either sitting presidents or chancellors of institutions. They all had jobs. They're all working sitting presidents. So I think of that list of the final 3, though, I'm kind of on the fence between Alexander and Kimbrough, which probably means Dr. Dennis Shields will get the job. But if I had to pick a favorite, I would say of the people that I've talked to and the one that people have been most impressed, I guess, about, or I should say probably has the biggest name brand, is probably Dr. Walter Kimbrough, the president of Dillard University.
Okay, Dr. Kimbrough would bring a lot to the table in that he would just he's been a president of well, as you mentioned, all 3 have been in charge. They've all had the executive roles, so I don't think you'd be losing anything there. What is it about Walter Kimbrough that you've heard sets him apart?
I think it's his personality, the fact that he has a name brand among HBCU constituents. A lot of people know him as from being the president of Dillard. He's kind of gotten to be known as the hip-hop president.
Okay.
Even though he's a guy in his mid-50s, but he's very active on Twitter. He's very active on social media. He's very connected in Washington, D.C., and so he's well known among the HBCU community, which is why I think he's probably, a lot of time name brand creates familiarity. So people are familiar with him, and that I think that's why he's gotten the attention that he's gotten. but I wouldn't count out Lawrence Alexander. Dr. Alexander is a New Orleans native, got his Jewish doctorate from Tulane, a UNO undergraduate. He's worked at the University of Florida for years, and he's been chancellor and has done a pretty good job at the University of Arkansas Pine Bluff. So, you know, if I had to lean one way, though, I would lean toward Walter Kimbrough.
Okay. When looking at the needs of Southern University, and we're going to broaden this out to HBCUs as a whole in a minute, but when looking at the needs of Southern University specifically, is it more comparable to look at Dillard down in New Orleans or Arkansas Pine Bluff as far as what Southern most, I don't want to say resembles because it's its own thing, but like what is Southern closer to between those other two schools?
If really neither, but if I had to say, it would have to be Pine Bluff.
Okay.
Being that Southern is a land grant institution, so is Pine Bluff, the 1880 Morrill Act, and they are state-run institutions, which Dillard isn't. Pine Bluff is part of the University of Arkansas system. Southern is a system within itself. So if it was one comparison, one that I would compare it to, it would be Pine Bluff of the three. Wisconsin Platteville will be next, Dennis Shields, because the University of Wisconsin, like I said, it's part of a system.
Right.
In terms of student body, they have a comparable student body in terms of enrollment. They have about 9,000 students. Southern is right between 7,000 and 8,000 students on the Baton Rouge campus. And that's what I don't want to leave out, that the person that runs the Baton Rouge campus would be the chancellor president, the chancellor of the Baton Rouge campus, but they'd also run New Orleans and Shreveport, the law school, and the Ag Center. They would run the whole institution. So that plays a part. I think Dennis Shields being the chancellor of a school that is part of a system, you have to pay attention to him because that's a unique experience. Dr. Kimbrough, excuse me, Dr. Kimbrough has been the president of Dillard, which is a small private institution.
Mm-hmm.
He's never had the experience of running a state-run institution. He was the vice president at Albany State for a few years, but not long. But most of his experiences come from running a small private institution, which can be helpful because he's had to get out and really make a way in terms of fundraising and things like that. So he's familiar with that, shaking hands and kissing babies. But at the same time, you're talking about running a university system of about 14 or 15,000 students combined. So it's kind of the yin and the yang.
Yeah. What are the needs of the next of Southern University, and what will be the role of the next president and chancellor? Is it more on a fundraising end? Is it more of getting the alumni active? Is it a more sparking the economic development of the community around it and growing like LSU has in the medical field? What is the next president of Southern University going to be expected to do? What's his role?
It's all of the above. And I think the next president is actually coming into a pretty good situation with Southern. Southern was just determined to be a Research 2 institution, one of only 2 HBCUs that are on that list, which means they're Tier 2, basically schools like LSU, Vanderbilt, University of Texas are Tier 1. Southern is a Tier 2 school, which is, like I said, it's only 2 HBCUs on that list. And I think it's only 2 schools in the state, 2 or 3 schools in the state of Louisiana that are on the list in Tier 1 or Tier 2. So that makes a big difference. Alumni fundraising is up tremendously, and so they're going to inherit a good situation that can be made great. It's a good situation, but it could be great. And so I think the needs of the chancellor president is going to be that, number one, it's going to be community engagement. Southern has to get the community reinvigorated and re-involved in the university. Fundraising is going to be a key to that. Continuing the academic rise of the university. The university has been on an academic rise and enrollment rise for the past 3 or 4 years. Continuing that upward mobility that way, And as I go back to it, community involvement. Community involvement is the key. Southern has to get the community surrounding it, the city of Baton Rouge. They have to get people involved in the university, get people back on the university side, because oddly enough, one of the hardest areas for Southern to recruit is the city of Baton Rouge.
Why is that? Is it just because LSU is such a monolith that you're either LSU or you're looking to leave town, or
it has become that way? It has become that way in the community, in particular the African American community. The people who are attending college either feel like, if you're not, a lot of times, if you're not going to LSU, then I might as well leave. And even if they're going to Southeastern, that hurts Southern enrollment wise. So I think that part of it is LSU has done a good job in branding the city as an LSU city. Yeah. And nothing is wrong with that. It is what it is. It's LSU, But I think there's a portion. I think part of what has happened is Southern kind of went over the hump, or as they call it, the hump, for people who know, and kind of tucked itself away and let LSU have the city. And why Southern and LSU aren't necessarily in direct competition, they are for students. And if you can create a niche out of the city of Baton Rouge and create a loyal brand, which when I was raised in Baton Rouge, a lot of other people I know, when it came to considering schools, it wasn't a consideration between LSU and Southern, because it was Southern because that was our family tradition. And that was where we wanted to be. And I think a lot of people don't understand that, and a lot of it's been cut off, that as a Southern alum, I went to Southern because I'm third generation Southern.
Right.
And we have traditions, we have family traditions, we have beliefs, we want to have those things. We want to pass those things along, just like people who have gone to LSU or Duke or Alabama or wherever. I didn't mean to say Alabama, my bad.
No, it's okay. It's okay. They have those people out there. It's all right. We understand.
Yeah. So we have those traditions. You have people who are part of a family legacy. And so I think that's kind of been, I won't say cut off, but it's kind of taken a hit. And so Southern has to do a lot to get back in the community and get people believing in Southern, because Southern is a good product. You can go anywhere else in the country and people know Southern and believe in Southern. The hardest place to sell is Baton Rouge.
So, I don't want to put words in your mouth here, Reggie, but has Tops exacerbated that?
I would say so. Tops is kind of, I won't say it hasn't. I shouldn't. It's not negative, because anytime you can more
absolutely,
people, anytime you can get more people educated in your state, that's a good thing. I would like to see more people stay in the state. Like they say, you want to get caught in a traffic jam, get on I-10 West on graduation day. Everybody's headed out, but I think that Tops has opened kind of. It's limited in terms of, because of the the parameters that they put on Tops. It's kind of opened Tops up to people who don't necessarily need the Tops, but it's good for them, but they don't necessarily need it. So it's kind of taken that middle class, which the middle class African American, which is has grown in the state of Louisiana, which has traditionally been where Southern has gotten its student body from, the middle and lower class African American students. Now those students, with the ones who are middle class, are getting Tops. The ones who are upper middle class are getting Tops, where Southern's kind of niche student, which has kind of been the lower class student, who ACTs or grade point average might not quite qualify for a Tops or the full Tops.
Right.
So Southern is still getting those students, but they don't have Tops, so they can't afford it. So a lot of them are choosing to go to the community college now.
Right, so and using that as a launching pad. You kind of hit right where I thought you were going to go with the Tops thing, because I don't have to listen to where mom and dad went to school, because mom and dad aren't paying anymore. And That kids always want to buck tradition. So
Yes.
If mom and dad are footing the bill, then tradition is going to reign supreme. In the meanwhile, we will continue to follow it. Is there a timeline on when the decision is expected?
The 18th of the board meeting, Southern's Board of Supervisors meets February 18th, and some decision is supposed to be made by then. So I just, we'll stay tuned until then. I want to remind everybody who's listening, tune into the Jaguar Journal from 7 to 9 p.m. on Saturday mornings with myself and Perry White hosting. So we'll have a lot of fun, and we'll be talking about the chancellors, presidents, and the football season and all of that good stuff.
Y'all have been rocking it in the transfer portal. It's been noticeable. It's been noticeable on Twitter for sure. He is Reggie Flood, host of the Jaguar Journal. Like he said, 7 to 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. Check him out. Reggie, I always appreciate the time, man.
Have a good one. Thank you, bro.
You too. Have a good weekend. All right, we got a break. Coming back. Outside In is next. Yeah, got it. Chuck's got you today. So, do you have his number? Can you? What? Yeah, let him load it up. All I do is like click. Jake, what format is this?
The spread. Is it PowerPoint or is it?
Okay.
If I do PowerPoint, that will work.
Yes.
That's what
Okay. I'm not the guy for that. Like, I don't even. I have slipped down the rabbit hole of being on this side of the microphone. That was way better. We're sitting on a gold mine, an untapped gold mine with Southern right now, and that's not hyperbole. I think the next president at Southern University is going to get himself a monthly segment on this show. Because you see something like the North Baton Rouge Development District or whatever, the economic development, like you see stuff like that, it needs alignment with the university. And the way Reggie spelled it out right there was it was brilliant. Like, it's all of the above. Yes, extra Franzi today. Wait, Tiffy says, should I be offended by that? No, absolutely not. You should not be offended by that. And I thought I was lengthy in my disclaimer that I wasn't talking about you when I talk about something like my favorite murder. I know you. I know where your personal interest is. $7:55, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Am I wrong to be excited about the possibilities at Southern? Reggie got me a little pumped up right there. It's going to be an ongoing conversation. When you talk about community involvement and the number of times that we've had economic development discussions about North Baton Rouge, could this be a catalyst that leads to a gold mine? Yeah, I know. Haldane's being all Pollyanna and super positive. I don't care. I'm intrigued. I'm in. Got the outside in. Oh, but thank you again to Reggie Flood, host of the Jaguar Journal, for hopping on board. Got the outside in coming your way in exactly 60 seconds. Enough time for me to send you to lacashclaim.org. Have you hopped on the website yet? lacashclaim.org. Your name might be in the database. If it is, it's a good thing, because it means you got money coming your way. It means you moved from an apartment to a house, or from an apartment to another apartment. It means you changed your water bill over somewhere. It means that you left a deposit behind, or had a bank account you rolled over, or a retirement account at a previous job that got left behind. There are thousands of different ways that you could have money coming to you. And State Treasurer John Schroeder has taken the unclaimed property program and simplified it, simplified the process to help take this $900 million that's sitting there and help put it back in your hands. I'm not saying you're getting $900 million. You might have $25. You might have 50. One guy in New Orleans had $250,000. A homeless guy in New Orleans is now back in a home because of lacashclaim.org. Check it out today. You could have money available for you. lacashclaim.org, and the process could not be simpler. All right, time for us to stretch our legs. Let's get outside of East Baton Rouge Parish with the outside in. Starting off in Livingston Parish, a man was arrested Thursday for manufacturing thousands of dollars of counterfeit money. Sheriff's office said Trenton Underwood was originally wanted for parole violations. When deputies showed up at his house, they found all kinds of stuff. Officials seized multiple scanners, ink, paper, 60 uncut sheets of printed counterfeit money, and over $1,200 of processed counterfeit bills. Underwood was booked into the Livingston Parish Detention Center. He's facing charges of monetary instrument abuse, resisting an officer, possession of drugs, and possession of drug paraphernalia. I mean, parole violations. See your parole officer. You don't get busted for counterfeiting money. That's just how that rolls. Heading down to St. John the Baptist Parish, Ampower Corp. Signed a letter of intent to develop a green hydrogen ammonia facility at the Port of South Louisiana, one of the largest tonnage ports in the Western Hemisphere. This is down around Reserve, Laplace area. They're going to produce, store, and distribute green ammonia for use as a carbon-free fuel and a carrier of hydrogen energy that would service the fueling of ocean-going vessels and provide hydrogen-rich green ammonia for use domestically and for export. Heading up to Shreveport, continuing the economic development discussion, Louisiana Entertainment and Troubled Muse CEO R. Andrew Davies announced the company's launch of an animation and visual effects studio in Shreveport, supported by Louisiana Entertainment Job Creation Program. Troubled Muse will create original digital content for TV and feature films, specializing in motion capture, visual effects, and animation. The company is going to create 53 new permanent jobs as a result of this. That is the outside in. We bring it to you every day. That puts a button on hour number 2. Hour number 3 is going to come your way next. Jake has This Day in History, bonus Legally Served with attorney Franz Borghardt, and more right after CBS News. How are you this morning?
I'm going to use these from now on.
Yeah?
I listened to one of our segments on Wednesday, and it occurred to me, I don't ever wear the earphones. You make passive aggressive comments about it.
I don't think they're passive at all. They're just aggressive.
They're
aggressive.
I'm going to start wearing them.
Okay. Good.
And in fact, this and look, this is what I'm about to say requires a large amount of humility. So I'm going to preface it with, you need to understand how difficult it is for me to say what I'm about to say. Today, in your very busy schedule, I want you to make me, and even though you're not doing Go Rouge tonight, I want you to make me a list of things I can do better, both for Legally Served as well as Go Rouge Show. Just a list. Criticism, constructive criticism, maybe some deconstructive criticism. Just make me a list.
I don't have much.
But just make it a list.
Okay.
I want to be self-aware.
Literally, the headphones would be number 1, 2, and 3 on that
better
list.
Better mic
So
attention.
when you and I are talking right now,
Yeah.
you and I are talking right now, I can hear you and you can hear me just fine. The audience right now cannot hear me that well. And I have no concept of that because it's not coming back to me.
Just make the list.
Huh?
Things you would do if you were me.
Grow the hair back.
I wish I could.
I've seen exactly one picture of you with hair.
It's okay. You
don't
I've
look
said
like
this,
you.
I've said this to people.
Like, that's your look. That's Franz.
I've said this to every guy I know that's balding that is on the fence about making the switch. Once you do it, once people get used to it, it is your normal.
Yeah.
There is the in-between area, right?
Right.
It's like you get any.
No, it's a good look for you. I don't have the head for it.
Anytime you get a new haircut, there's always that transition period of people like, wait, what are you doing?
Right.
Well, what's going on?
Not just leaned in. That's all. That's it. Yeah, like I have thick, wonderful hair.
Beautiful.
Glorious hair. I hate it. I don't want it. That's why I roll with the high and tight. Like, I don't want what I've got. And I know that makes me ungrateful. I should celebrate. I should grow out
Lots of people don't appreciate and are not grateful for the things they have. Hair.
Wow. What was the name of that idiot you were talking about in the first hour today that caused the issues at City Hall? I don't know his actual name. Oh, wait. Sorry. Really? Has the video been set to private already?
I would like to see the unedited video. I would like to see what that looks like before whatever entity got
No,
it.
you're never going to see that. He's an attention whore.
Do we know the time frame? When did this happen?
I don't know that part because I can't
don't
get
know
the
if
freaking constable's office to answer the phone.
So I know some of the people in the video, and those people, if it's recent, those people are still working there.
Yeah.
I haven't made a PowerPoint presentation in a while. I'm excited. I like it. I'm trying to take my participation in the radio to the next level.
Okay.
That's why I want that list. That's why I'm people ask me all the time, where's the line in the sand? Who could you not represent? I got to tell you, the people that take it, the catalytic converters, I've had a lot of, not that they could afford me, but if they could.
Well, if they sold them off.
Well, they were sitting on them.
I know.
The problem is you got to be able to
Why?
move them.
Right.
Get them, you got to move them.
Right.
It's like Incan matrimonial headdresses. You can steal them, but you got to be able to move them.
Ocean's 11?
Yeah.
Yes! I'm proud of that one. Couldn't fence it.
When dealing cash, you don't need a fence.
An Incan matrimonial address. Good on you for repping the Ocean's 11. That's an Ocean's 11 deeper than deep cut. That's a lot of plastic surgery. Whoa. All right. I should probably dig in on what went down on this day in history today. Do I? Change to 22? 806, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Hour 3 coming your way right now. Brian here with you, Jake producing. We are not taking our foot off the gas by any stretch of the imagination. We got a bonus legally served for you today. Have you seen the video yet? And I hesitate to even send you to the YouTubes to check it out. Do it after the show. There's a dude who goes around looking for cops behaving badly. We see this kind of content all the time. Walked up into City Hall with his camera, wants to film all over City Hall. He, I'll just say, accosted a woman coming out, a sheriff's deputy coming out.
The way you're framing this
Yeah.
makes it sound like, I'm using my big lawyer brain here, it sounds like you've made a decision on where you fall in this one.
Oh, it sounds like you weren't listening to the first hour.
I wasn't.
Yeah.
I wasn't.
Oh, no.
Carpool.
No, there's. Oh, yeah. Don't make Fisher sit through that. We're going to talk about it in our next segment. Franz Borghardt is back for a bonus legally served. Going to get you to this day in history in just a second, but I got to start off by telling you about jobs reports coming out today. The January jobs report, and by all accounts, it's going to be all over the place. Complete mixed bag. How would you like to lose the all over the place thing and just get your company aligned and in the right direction, increasing profits while pulling some of those low to middle income wage earners out of poverty and into prosperity? Profit and prosperity are not mutually exclusive. Profit for your business and prosperity for your workforce are not separate. Fred Keller is the founder and chair of Cascade Engineering. He changed the way his company did business, and he's here to teach you how to do it as well. It's a little program called Rise LA. Check out risela.biz, risela.biz to learn more. They got an upcoming seminar. It's at the beginning of March. You're going to want to be in on this. You can help focus your efforts towards this goal. risela.biz. We all rise together. All right. Every day at this time, we fight internally to not reference the Wayback Machine. But Jake takes us back in time with this day in history.
Yes, sir. It's time for this day in history. Happy Friday to all those tuning in. We're kicking things off in 1847.
Yeah! Woo! Mark Zuckerberg!
No.
Oh, damn.
The first U.S. telegraph company was established in Maryland.
Same thing. It's about communication.
Correct. Everything is Mark Zuckerberg. 1930,
Today.
the first tieless, soundless, shockless streetcar tracks. You know where that was?
New Orleans?
New Orleans.
Darn right it was.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for saying streetcar and not trolley. You are distancing yourself from Texas every single day. Embrace it. Embrace it.
It's so difficult.
No, it's not.
My body is torn between two worlds here.
You want, no, you want me to connect those two worlds? Lee Harvey Oswald. Boom!
1952, the first African-American executive of a major TV station. It was Jackie Robinson at WNBC New York.
The Jackie Robinson?
The Jackie Robinson.
Wait, he went from the Dodgers to TV? Wow.
He wore a couple hats over the course of his life.
One of them a baseball hat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
1969, John Madden is named head coach of the NFL's Oakland Raiders. How did that go?
Pretty well.
Yeah, I'd say
pretty
so.
well for an extended period of time.
Yeah.
Has anybody bought the Madden crew? I know it's recent.
What?
But the bus. The bus has got to go up for auction. Rest in peace, John Madden. Madden, you're a legend, but the Madden cruiser needs to live on. So do eight-legged turkeys.
I can agree with that one at least, I guess.
When Dallas loses on Thanksgiving Day. Hey-o!
Hey, 1997.
I'm just firing shots at Texas today. That's how I'm doing. Like Lee Harvey
1997,
Oswald.
O.J. Simpson found liable in the deaths of Ron Goldman and Nicole Simpson in a civil court action. Yeah, just total different page.
Well, I got to skip past this because every joke I have right now is going to get me
1998,
fired. Thank
Bill
you.
Gates gets a pie thrown in his face.
Good for
in
him.
Brussels, Belgium. Belgian.
Did it was thrown at his face, but did it land?
I think so.
We need video.
I'll look it up and I'll get it for the last segment.
All right.
2006, simulation video game The Sims, developed by Maxis, released in North America. Still a popular game to this day, actually. It's very technical. 2015, Post Malone uploads his debut single, White Iverson, to his SoundCloud account.
Wait, Post Malone has been around for 7 years?
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't even like Malone or pre-Malone?
Nope.
Okay.
He was already past the Malone.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Hey, you had a... did you have 2007?
I did not.
Well, this is going to be our Black History Month moment of the day.
Okay.
It was on this day in 2007 where Chicago and Indianapolis squared off in the Super Bowl.
Ooh.
Yeah, I know you're thinking 2007, Indianapolis, that would be Peyton Manning. How is that Black History Month? Tony Dungy, Lovie Smith. The first time you had two African-American coaches going head-to-head in the Super Bowl.
Very nice.
And now you have a former African-American head coach suing the entire league because nobody can get a look. We're talking about that at 8:40, by the way.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's all the events. Let's get to the birthdays. Rosa
Whoa!
Parks.
2004.
Hold on. I just said Rosa Parks. Let me just say this.
Yeah, no.
It's Rosa Parks' birthday. She was born in 1913. You were saying.
This day in 2004,
What
Facebook went public. Or was launched.
And now they're
founded by Mark Zuckerberg. Yeah. That's why I was talking about the Telegraph, and it's all about communication.
Gotcha.
Facebook was founded on this day in 2004.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I'm going to say it a second time. Rosa Parks was born on this day in 1913.
There you go.
Lawrence Taylor was born on this day. He's 63 years old.
There's no segue there.
No. And Hannibal Buress was born on this day he is 39 years old now.
Oscar de la Hoya, born on this day in 1973. And Alice Cooper is 74 years old today.
Happy birthday to all those mentioned. I don't have any deaths, do you?
No.
Okay, well then let's get right to the holidays. First up, it's World Cancer Day.
Yes.
It is National Wear Red Day.
Yes, it is.
We should wear red today.
Yeah.
And finally, it is National Thank a Mail Carrier Day.
Okay.
Just thank them. Like, what's the harm?
Okay.
Well, that's this.
MAIL.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you don't need to thank a man.
God bless Mother Nature.
Nah.
813 Talk 107.3 FM. Quick break. We come back. Quick break. We come back. Bonus legally served up next.
I give you a good "It's Raining Men" reference.
You did. You did.
Kept it together.
That was. Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm just gonna go here. It's Black History Month, and the Black History moment of the day.
Of the day.
One. You gonna give him one? Can't we give him two? Maybe
When
three?
Jackie Robinson. It's Rosa Parks' birthday.
I mean,
that wasn't
like a specific thing.
No, it wasn't, but it's worth noting. I mean, it was like Jackie Robinson broke barriers apparently in the TV world too.
Like, we're not doing a designated Black History moment every day just because it's Black History Month.
You know that I know diddly
There's a lot
squat
of stuff
about
happening.
We will though.
You know that I know diddly squat about sports.
Yeah.
Can we talk about Belichick's text misfire? like, come on, dude.
Wait, I got to show you this. A buddy of mine sent it to me. He said, because it's Brian Flores, right?
Yeah.
So, look. I literally can't.
Wow.
Wow. So wrong. Oh, is it racist to laugh at calling someone else racist? I don't think that's racism, though. I think that's just he's simple. But yeah. Belichick with the, oh, my bad. I meant to text that to another Brian. It's gone. Oh, bringing it back, bring it back, y'all. It's time for a bonus legally served. Time to welcome in Franz Borghardt.
I'm here for you and the people.
The people.
All right, so some person.
Hang on, let me film you with this whole segment.
I wanted to say.
Don't get uncomfortable.
I wanted to say another word that would inevitably got me in trouble with the radio. Some clown goes into City Hall, which is the old courthouse building downtown.
Yes.
The video starts with what appears to be, and I'm very acquainted with that building.
Highlight reel.
Yeah, I'm very acquainted with that building.
Mm-hmm.
It's where the courthouse used to be.
Yeah.
He's in a hallway near the sheriff's office, one of the offices, and he's filming.
Yeah. The civil unit or whatever.
You know, the problem with any video that's been edited is I want the whole picture. I don't want like selective starting and stopping. So from there, he gets asked to leave, and he may or may not be pushed down some steps. May or may not be. His allegation is
his allegation is he was thrown down the stairs.
Yeah, I don't
thrown down the stairs.
That is not in the video that I saw.
Well, no, it is. It is because you hear him go, ah!
Injured like a soccer player's injured.
Oh, totally.
So the question that I think we're going to talk about, unless you want to talk about whatever you want to talk about, it's your show.
No, we're going to talk about this topic for sure because it's more than just this video. Which follow up here, I'm trying to click on the video, and now I can't send people to go see it. Which thank God, because I don't want this guy getting more clicks on his monetized YouTube channel. And there's nothing wrong with monetizing your YouTube channel. God knows I want to do it too. But like,
I like money.
This video is private.
Oh. So where can you film in a public building?
Yes, that's the whole purpose of the conversation is not just where, but where, when, and when does it run afoul of?
So your right to film in a public building is not absolute and can be restricted. For example, a courtroom is a public place, right? But
yes.
You can't record in the courtroom.
What? It's a public place. I know my rights.
Law prohibits you from recording in a courtroom. Can't do it. Hallways of the courthouse, assuming you can bring your video camera into your cell phone into the courthouse, hallways are probably okay.
Okay.
Hallways in City Hall are probably
okay.
And
this is interesting because of this particular video, but hallways are right outside of women's restrooms. Can I film right outside of a women's restroom?
I think it would. The answer to that question is how are you filming? Like, how creepy are you being? Are you like by
Does
the
it matter?
door?
Does context matter?
Well, it does.
For my rights?
Well, it does because if you're by a door that's opening and closing that could be viewed with women using the bathroom, even though we know that that's really not realistic, but that could be a form of video voyeurism, which would break the law.
The sheriff's office employee, I don't know if she's a deputy or what, but she's wearing green.
She got that cool glass mask on.
If you're familiar with the building, she's coming out of the bathroom.
Okay.
When she's accosted.
Okay.
Does that change things?
I don't think that was the issue.
The difference is he's looking to trap law enforcement. He's not posting up to a chickswhojustpeed.com.
You couldn't go into a judge's chambers. You couldn't go into a office in City Hall that you don't have a right to be in, even though it's a public place. You couldn't go to restricted areas and start recording. Okay? Just because a building is public doesn't mean you get to do whatever you want to in it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, on the other side of the coin, it's my understanding that the law enforcement officers may have not disclosed their identity properly, may have not given the proper names of who they were, which that just...
They lied in the video as much as he did, yes.
Well, but the issue is it doesn't matter that they did that. It just looks, the optics for them looks like, dude, you're professionals. You don't have to sink down to this dude's level. Like, you're right. You could, if you want to confront a wrong with another wrong, under the schoolyard auspice of two wrongs make a right, go for it. Knock yourself out. They're supposed to be professionals. Okay.
Well, wait, can I take like 30 seconds to that point? Because I talked to a number of different law enforcement officials about this video yesterday, and every single one of them told me the same thing.
Yeah.
We're trained in this. We practice this. We preach this. We exercise this. At the same time, though, what was not told to me yesterday, they're human. and every human has a breaking point. If I poke you in the arm 1,000 times on about 995, you're going to swat my hand away.
What you're describing is a physical battery and assault. However, what I would suggest to you is, yes, they are human, but that's never been an excuse for misconduct when it comes to law enforcement.
Okay.
And it's often not a good excuse for my clients when they're accused of crime. No, hey, my client was human.
Okay, but let me ask you this question.
I mean, look, they put the money in a place that really made it appetizing for him to steal it. The catalytic converters are like practically screaming, "Take me! I'm human!"
No, this isn't a she shouldn't have worn that argument. This is a at what point does the fact that you're wearing a badge mean you have to stop being attacked?
So here's the thing.
Verbally.
So good question. Here's the thing. The only wrong that I'm concerned about with these officers is if they don't want to say their name, that's fine. The only wrong I'm concerned about is there veracity to them pushing him down a stairway? And by the way, it's like 4 steps.
And he didn't get pushed down a stairway.
Yeah.
If you saw the video.
If you're asked to leave, leave. How about that?
Hang on, Franz. It's a public building. You're violating his rights by simply asking him to leave, much less taking him by the arm and escorting him out the door.
The solution is you leave and you sue. That's the solution. You don't act like a petulant child. Look, he has a right to be
But
there.
if you do that, 165,000 people don't click on your YouTube.
I don't know.
He's here for your rights,
so
Franz.
Here it is, bigger picture. I don't know that they had to make him leave the building. He cannot have free access to every aspect of that building.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's just. I mean, I'm trying not to confront your good humor and there's a word I'm looking for that I can't say. I'm trying to address the law here, which is rare.
Does the second half of the word involve the word eating?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
because I'm smug this morning to be sure.
So here it is. He doesn't get a free for all access. Did they need to ask him to leave? I don't know. I don't know if they had to get him to leave. Remember when Gary Chambers was escorted outside of the building?
Time?
During council meeting?
Yeah. This has happened more than once.
Right. You have a right to be at the council meeting, but you have to follow the rules of the council meeting.
Right.
So what's going to happen with this? Nothing.
He's filed a complaint. It's supposed to be looked into by Internal Affairs. The video's now been moved to private, which makes me think that IA has made a couple follow-up phone calls. But this guy goes around the country creating this content. And I don't want to talk specifically about the constable's office, even though it's the sheriff's office employee who's the first woman in the video. It's the constable's office that actually removes him from the building. And, oh, by the way, taking somebody by the arm and setting them outside the door is not the same as throwing them down a flight of stairs. And if the video were no longer private, we could see
Don't
that
tase me, bro.
Right. So I want to ask this question about law enforcement in general and these videos in general. They're all over YouTube. They're all over TikTok. And a shout out to I got the video was sent to me by 3 different people yesterday. One of them is a guy named Shane, who I interacted with a lot on Facebook Messenger, who says, I think you'll find this quite appalling. There is a growing sentiment about law enforcement abusing their power. And there is a problem with law enforcement abusing their power. We've seen the Ronald Green footage, okay? To me, this is not that. And people get their rocks off by watching this to impugn the very same people who protect them. And this content has crossed the line.
So the video is being used as a weapon. We've
weaponized the First Amendment. Yeah, oh my, you're stealing my notes, Franz.
I'm sorry, I'm incredibly brilliant.
Wait, that would make me incredibly brilliant, so I'm on board.
Look, I'm a big fan of civil rights.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the First Amendment.
Yeah.
But we know that your First Amendment right to free speech is not absolute. The classic example, you can't shout fire in a crowded theater, right? That's not protected First Amendment speech. Here, I really want to know what happened before the video starts when he's talking to the deputy. I really want to know what happened because I assume it's not just because he's videoing.
Oh, 100%.
There's something more. And by the way, you diminish credibility when you modify a video.
But do you? It's not about credibility because there's no level of journalism here. No, it's not. It's about anger. And that's what this whole topic is about. It's about baiting somebody into doing something that you want them to do so you get a desired outcome. And it's about the return volley is law enforcement should be held to a higher standard. And I don't disagree with that. But at the same time, though, if you're going to stand in my face and curse me out for an hour and I punch you, I have committed assault, but I'm also feeling no sympathy for the guy getting punched.
As my colleague Richard Sprinkle and I will talk about on our legally unfiltered podcast radio show that will be airing on Talk 107.3, and we've said this before, Brian, it's not against the law to be an a-hole,
right.
but play stupid games, win stupid prizes.
I'm shocked you're as close to being on the same page with me as I.
So the problem I have is I've never had a problem with a traffic stop where you pull out your phone and you start recording.
Correct.
I don't have a problem
No,
with that.
that was instigated by the law enforcement
You
officer.
didn't start it.
Right.
You're just recording.
And you're recording passively for your own safety. I get that. This dude who claims to be a journalist went looking for himself to be the
What do we
story.
know about this guy that recorded? I want to know more.
He's
Give me
got
more.
a series of videos where he goes from city to city for your rights, goes from city to city to actively engage law enforcement, bait them as best as he can. You're never going to see the thousands upon thousands of hours of footage of law enforcement doing the right thing, but you will see the 15 minutes worth of an interaction where he's confronted for his own assery.
How do you support yourself, like with a job, by doing that? Is he independently wealthy? Does he make money on the clicks, or
he gets money on the clicks?
Okay, because
he gets money on the clicks.
I'd like to make enough money on the clicks to not have to work. I mean, that'd be nice.
Yeah.
No, I don't, dude. All he did was create chaos in a building that had things going on. Those people have a job to do, and I don't. That's not an act of patriotism. If you want to die on a hill, I will support you if it's the right hill to die on. This isn't the right hill to die on. Now, that being said, he does have First Amendment rights.
Let's talk about that, because there is an actual legal aspect to this. So,
well, yeah,
it's. Don't let my rhetoric get in the way.
He does have the right to record in certain spaces in the building.
Mm-hmm.
When asked to leave by law enforcement, he needs to leave. And if in fact he feels like his constitutional rights to be present in a public building have been trampled upon because he's being asked to leave, he can simply use law. This is not a hunger protest. Like he's filming, they ask him to leave.
The video's back up.
Yeah, you leave, right? I mean, It's not, to me, it's not. Now, at the back end of the video, he wants to press charges.
He files a complaint.
Yeah, he files a complaint.
By the way, I've already got it written on my calendar. I'm sitting on it for 3 months, and I'm going to look it back up again to see if that went anywhere. But go ahead.
Yeah, I don't think you have to wait 3 months. I don't think you'll have to wait 3 months.
I want to be thorough.
I mean, I don't know that some higher up has been texted, hey, just so you know, FYI, dude was in City Hall. You think the mayor got a text on this?
Probably.
Yeah.
I think so.
Oh, my God. What is the mayor going to do about this?
Why aren't we seeing action? I know my rights.
This is about transparency.
Right? Actually, no, it's not, though, because the constable's an elected official. Doesn't report to the mayor.
Correct, but
if this were the chief of police,
I think
it would be different.
So it's actually a mixed use. That building has mixed use.
The sheriff.
So on one floor, you have the Office of Public Defender. You have the mayor's office on one floor, right?
Metro Council.
I think they lease out different space. It's not just the city of Baton Rouge. Sheriff's office.
There are Subway sandwiches in there?
No, but there is a diner on the top floor that's really good food. Great place to get a breakfast. I miss that building.
No.
I need to get elected at something so I can be in that building more.
We're not turning this into a campaign segment. Okay, so first of all,
every segment
when he's asked to leave, after he's asked to leave, is he breaking the law?
Remaining in a place after being forbidden, yeah, it's a misdemeanor.
Now, instead of escorting him out the building, should they have cuffed him, read him his rights, and booked him?
I think that would have been giving him what he wants.
You can't really film when your hands are cuffed.
Well, but you're giving.
But that witness that just happened to be there.
Hold on, you're giving him what he wants. He wants to be cuffed. He wants to have the quote unquote civil rights allegation. If you give him a summons, and I don't even know that he was charged with a crime.
He wasn't.
I think they just. Honestly,
they asked him nicely to leave. They asked him more sternly to leave. They escorted him out.
Assuming they did not push him down a flight of stairs. Assuming they didn't push him down a flight of stairs, I think the police officers actually behaved admirably on this one. With the exception of not giving their name and badge number.
We got to get the news.
Okay.
You got to blast out.
I can stick around for a minute.
Stick around for a minute. Hey, Attorney Franz Borghardt, legally served. We do it every Wednesday morning at 6:35. Sometimes there's content that is worthy of a bonus segment. That is what's happening today. Quick break for news. Coming right back on Talk 107.3. But Franz, how are you not appalled that all of our rights are now violated? We have no rights in this country anymore because we can't walk into a public building, bait officers into removing us from that building. Like, if you're there to
some people like to bait. They're baiters.
They're masters at it.
They love baiting. That's what they do all day long. They're just baiting.
Yeah. Hey, are you good to go for a segment, or you have to get out? Like to continue on? We'll throw out the Brian Flores
When would I
stuff.
be out here by?
50.
Yeah, I can do that. I got to be at the office for 9, but yeah. I've got a potential. My day job. But yeah, I can do that. We just text him.
No. Hey, you want to split it in half? Like, you can be out by 45 for sure.
That would be fine.
Okay. Save the Flores for 45. The thing is, I don't know that the constable's office gets the same level of training as the city police, state police, parish sheriffs. They all know they're in the crosshairs for this. Constable's office doesn't normally pull people over.
So
they execute warrants, sure.
And they provide security.
Yeah, and they provide security.
They provide security in the city
But
court.
this level of interaction for them is not their day-to-day.
No, they run the city court. I would say that they're used to this. I would say they've been trained and prepared for this.
You think?
Have you been to city court?
No.
City court's worse
Well,
than this. You can't bring a cell phone in the building.
I've been to...
Do you have a constitutional right to bring a cell phone into a public building? No.
No, you don't.
The solution to
and
this is...
I've read the Constitution, Franz. I don't see the word cell phone anywhere. Not in one sitting.
How do you feel about the Black Caucus recording the conversation and then slipping it to the AP? Is that bad form?
I don't know.
Come have a conversation with us. We're going to record you.
I think the governor did a lot of, made a lot of questionable choices here. I don't want to impugn him with motive, but he made a lot of questionable choices here. And he's going to end up with more support than hate after this is all over, because everybody involved in this wants the spotlight on them and not on Ronald Green's family. Whether it be the new Black Panther Party, whether it be, I'm sure Black Lives Matter is going to be here any day now, whether it be the Legislative Black Caucus, this is going to get further and further away from the actual victim. And yes, I do think anytime you have a conversation in confidence, if you share that conversation, you're the ass.
Yeah. Unless you need to go in assuming. I always assume I'm being recorded. 24/7, I assume I'm being recorded. Talking to Fisher, I assume Fisher's recording me. By the way, James in the old man outfit, spot on, buddy. Spot on.
I mean, very Night Court, right? Very Harry Anderson from Night Court.
I want to see how James turns out.
No. Yeah, well, so do I.
Like James I want to be around to see James at like 18 and then James at 32. I mean, how many years is that?
If I make it to James at 32, I'll be shocked. That boy's going to kill me. If I make it to James at 17.
You don't know. Maybe he,
If he's this way at 5, bro, as soon as puberty hits, I'm done for. Like, turns out I'm a good father of daughters.
So I get grow notes. My son gets grow notes. Sometimes they're worthy, like the using bad language, pushing someone, hands on someone. And then there's the grow note I got for him saying he doesn't like rhythm class. And I was like,
wow, kindergarten's a little young to be teaching that method. Catholic jokes, ladies and gentlemen. Rhythm class? This is how dialed out I am. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Your son gets taught different subjects in kindergarten.
Okay. Oh, wow. Hey, Shane, thanks for hopping in on YouTube. It is back up. And yeah, you sent me the link again, and I appreciate it. Because, yes, it is back up. So, what we need to cover in the remaining time is, did he break the law? Did they break the law? Just a very cut and dry end of it.
Mm-hmm.
836 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Diving back into a bonus Legally Served with attorney Franz Borghardt momentarily. I do have to take just a couple, not to open Pandora, to open a weather app. I got to take a couple seconds to give you the forecast real quick because it's going to be cold for some time. Seasonably appropriate cold, but cold nonetheless. 35 degrees right now. We're looking at a high today of 43, a low tonight of 28. A high tomorrow of 52, a low tomorrow night of 28. Seasonably appropriate cold, but cold nonetheless. We're going to get out of the freezing overnight temperatures for Sunday, but look for it to stick around in this pattern for a couple days. In fact, I'm not seeing the 70s again for at least the next week. Like I said, right now, downtown Baton Rouge, we're at 35 degrees. Bonus segment of Legally Served coming your way right now. Franz, I appreciate you for sticking around for a couple more minutes. I know you've got an actual lawyering job to get to. Probably...
You know, it's hard being one of the best criminal defense attorneys in the state of
Louisiana. Oh, is it?
It is.
But you make it look so easy.
Effortless. A lot of things going on to make this thing happen. All right, so your question.
My question is two-part. It's two questions. And well, I want the cut and the dry legal into this, not my hyperbole or rhetoric, but did this guy break the law?
I don't know that he
This guy meaning the cameraman.
At most, a misdemeanor about not staying in a place you've been asked to leave.
Okay.
At most.
Okay.
Did the cops break the law? At most, maybe excessive force, maybe, but that is, I don't. Think,
as an attorney,
I don't think either would stick.
As an attorney, if this Long Island A-word guy, Audit, I think is the word he uses in his description, of Long Island Audit, gives you this video and says, these cops assaulted me, these cops used excessive force. If he handed you that video and said, I need you to represent me, because this was excessive force and I've been beaten and thrown down a flight of stairs. Do you think you could honestly stand in front of a courtroom and make his case?
I think you'd hear me say, sir, I don't think this case, this set of facts is a good fit for my law firm. I think you need to look for a civil rights attorney willing to take this case, and you have a certain amount of time to do that and then keep it moving. I don't think I would take this case. I would represent him if he was accused of a crime. I would represent the law enforcement officers if they were accused of a crime. I wouldn't take this as a civil rights case. It's too manufactured. Good, true civil rights cases are not manufactured. You're really a victim. You're not an orchestrated victim. You're not a manufactured victim.
And that's the thing, though. When you are the one who seeks it out, it changes things. Now, from a legal perspective, does it change things?
It depends. Well, I mean, yeah, it does, because the decision maker is going to look at you and it's going to lower the quantity of value of the case, because to some degree there is an element of you got what you were looking for, you got what you deserve. Play as Richard and I say, play stupid games, win stupid prizes, and in this case, the prize is not a big monetary judgment. It is, So yeah, great clickbait, not necessarily great legal case development.
When looking at the greater scope of things and abuses by law enforcement, it's not playing well for this guy that he visited a state that's currently looking at the Ronald Greene case.
So that's the other thing is...
go ahead.
Yeah, that's the other thing is, if you're going to do this in a place that doesn't have a... And granted, that didn't happen in Baton Rouge. Ronald Greene happened North Louisiana.
Correct. But every Associated Press byline you're going to see is going to have...
Right. Why would you do this in a place, in a city without in Sterling? Why would you do this in a place that has a myriad of true civil rights issues going on? That you're trying to capitalize, but it's not like Gary sitting in a field smoking weed. It's not that caliber of clickbaiting, right? If you want to be clickbaity, go to a place where this might be a little bit more entertaining because nothing else is going on.
Right.
And by the way, this isn't nearly as entertaining as Chris Nakamoto being asked to leave some west across the river parish clerk of court office, for doing journalism.
You mean Chris Nakamoto, who is representing an actual journalistic outlet? He's not an independent journalist who has no formal training, but seeks to be the center of the story.
Right.
To me, and I know we're running away from the legal end of this, but to me, that makes all the difference. When this is your MO, you are seeking not to find justice, but to be the center of the injustice.
Was it White Castle? Was it Addis? I don't remember which cross the river clerk of court it was. Chris is in the lot. Chris Nakamoto. He and I are on a first name basis. Chris Nakamoto's in the lobby. He's got the camera. They're trying to interview somebody, and he gets asked to leave. He doesn't leave. He gets escorted off the property,
right?
Arguably in handcuffs. There is an element of if you become so distracting that business cannot take place in the business in the business area of the public building.
Yes,
that is a problem. Right?
I'm glad you brought that up because I wanted to get to that point of it as well.
Yeah.
If we can weaponize the First Amendment in this way, can the law enforcement entity weaponize it right back at us by saying you're impeding with actual business? For example, there was a reporter, I think he was with BRZ as well. I don't remember. Buffington might have been the last name.
Former client, yes.
Okay.
I represented Bro.
Okay. Yeah. He came across a traffic stop and decided, I don't remember the story verbatim.
Late in the evening, Brett encounters, not a traffic stop, Brett encounters a active police investigation. I think it's a burglary. And he's told to back up, in an undelineated criminal crime scene. There's no tape or anything. He doesn't. He's told to do it again, and he's ultimately arrested.
Yes. Yeah. That was the story. Yeah. That was how it played out.
That case was settled.
Okay. But was he impeding an investigation? Was he impeding the natural course of them doing their business?
So I'm biased. I represented Mr. Buffington. I don't think he was. And in that case, it was a public place with an undelineated. When I say undelineated, when you see a crime scene on TV, you see the tape.
He didn't leave the house with the intent of hunting down a crime scene.
He's a journalist.
Like that Jake Gyllenhaal movie.
Yeah, creepy movie. Nighthawk, maybe?
I think that's what, yeah.
So he's a journalist. He sees news. He starts trying to report the news by recording it. He's told to back up. He doesn't back up. This is, I'm going to go in this building because like a petulant child, I want attention. And I'm going to do the certain thing. I'm going to check all these boxes that I know that I'm going to get attention.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm not going to show you the hours and hours of footage where I did not get attention.
Right. Because nobody cares about that.
It's coming up on Go Rouge.
Tonight we have a Black History Month segment where we're going to talk to one of my good friends. Works for Square, also one of my graduates.
Square? Like the credit card thing?
Yeah. Stick around. Watch the show. You'll see it. And then I've got a new business that is doing chapeaus. Or chapos, the hats.
Hats?
Yeah, a new local business that is coming out. And I'm just have those ladies on to talk about that. So,
chapeau.
We celebrate entrepreneurs on the Go Rouge show. And then
yeah,
probably you're going to be hearing Legally Unfiltered is back. You see, the second time I've dropped a Legally Unfiltered reference.
So, part of the Saturdays on Demand rotation, for sure. In fact, Cool Story Bro might take a back seat to make sure there's room. Actually, we just broadened it out. It used to be 7 to 11. Now it's 5 to 11.
I like it.
Yeah, no, it's growing. The podcast world is growing, and we want to be along with it. Saturdays on Demand is where you'll find Legally Unfiltered, Go Rouge tonight, and then we roll that back into Saturdays on Demand as well.
You think they'd let me record the Go Rouge show in a public building, like in the lobby of a public building?
Sure right, man. Sure right.
First,
you
I'm
can
going to weaponize the First Amendment, baby. Go Rouge! No,
every time I've ever heard somebody say the Constitution wasn't written when we had AK-47, so we need to look at the Second Amendment, I respond with the Constitution wasn't written when we had YouTube, so we need to look at the first.
So I feel content and safe saying I'm a civil rights attorney, and I will tell you, the day you see me arrested for doing my job in the civil rights arena, it will be so egregious what's going on that you're going to be like, yep, because me in jail, I don't look good in orange.
I mean,
orange is not the new black on the sky.
No. Even with the weight loss.
I'm out.
Appreciate you sticking around. Attorney Franz Borghardt, we do Legally Served every Wednesday at 6:35. So if this is a different part of your morning routine in the 8 o'clock hour, check us out on Wednesdays as well, or pull it up on YouTube after the fact. It is always available on YouTube, and the conversation does not stop when we hit commercial break. In fact, it often leaves the rails. Appreciate you, Franz. We'll see you this evening for Go Rouge right after the Jay Cody show tonight. So let's move over to Brian Flores. Brian Flores is a former NFL head coach who is currently seeking another NFL job. In fact, just this week, he was interviewed by the New Orleans Saints, although I still think Dennis Allen gets that gig. If you haven't heard about Flores' case, he's been all over the news. He was on CBS this morning. It was either yesterday or day before yesterday, where he was talking about why are you suing the league Now, Brian Flores, an African-American head coach, he was actually very good at Miami. Right now, there is one African-American head coach in the NFL. Brian Flores says, this could be cut one, Jake. Brian Flores says he's taken this path of suing the league and 3 individual owners or 3 individual franchises within the league because change has got to happen when it comes to that.
We didn't have to file a lawsuit for the world to know that there's a problem from a hiring standpoint in regards to minority coaches in the National Football League. The numbers speak for themselves.
Right.
We filed the lawsuit so that we could create some change. And that's important to me. I think we're at a fork in the road right now. You know, we're either going to keep it the way it is, or we're going to go in another direction and actually make some real change where we're actually changing the hearts and minds of those who make decisions to hire head coaches, executives, et cetera.
So this has been an ongoing talking point within the league, within the NFL. We noted during this day in history that on this day in 2007, 2 African-American head coaches squared off in the Super Bowl, but it's few and far between. And it's been an ongoing talking point of how do you get more African-American head coaches? Cut 3 is going to be next, Jake. How do you get more African-American head coaches? Well, a number of years ago, the NFL instituted what they call the Rooney Rule, which means every time there's a coaching vacancy, you have to interview at least one African-American as part of your hiring process. You can't say, like, if you're the Saints right now, if you're the Saints, Dennis Allen is ready and waiting. But you can't just say goodbye to Sean Payton and say hello to Dennis Allen. You have to walk through the process of interviewing a number of candidates, even if you know who your person is right from jump. Well, Flores says the Rooney Rule, kind of a joke.
The Rooney Rule is intended to, give minorities an opportunity to sit down in front of ownership. But I think what it's turned into is an instance where guys are just checking the box. And that's been the case. I've been on some interviews in the past where I've had that feeling. There's always no way to know for sure, but you know.
I don't disagree with him. I do not disagree with him right there. It is kind of a joke. And it is a checking of the box. And that's the problem with pushing for that, I don't want to say that angle, but I don't know how else to get the attention you want when seeking the ends that he's seeking. And the bigger problem, especially if you're Brian Flores, is you've got a resume in Miami that's worth standing on. Why would you run the risk of running afoul of owners by suing the owners? Like, if I were to sue my boss, I don't think that would bode well for my future employment. And if I were to sue my boss and then go look for another job, don't think for a second that the new boss or new potential boss wouldn't say, he sued the last guy he worked for. Do I want to take that on? Well, Flores says he understands the risk.
I understand the risk. And yes, it was a difficult decision, and I went back and forth. And like I said, I love coaching. I do. It's something that I'm passionate about. It brings me joy. And I love helping young people reach their potential and become the best versions of themselves. I'm gifted to do that.
Brian.
But this is bigger than that.
Again, credit to CBS this morning for the audio there, as that's where Brian Flores was. We're going to have to see how it plays out. I think he's playing a very dangerous game with a job that is not readily available. These are very few and far between. But let me know on YouTube. What do you think? Is he pushing down the right path, or is he going to get himself in greater trouble and end up never working again because of it? Let's check your money now. Oh, okay. If it was somebody that wanted to comment on the video, I'd be willing to take a call on that before we get out of here. Joshua says, did they actually have the authority to ask him to leave a public place? So here is a good question in that regard. If I am in that public place and I don't feel comfortable because I'm being filmed and I'd like to not be filmed, who has the right then to say I don't feel comfortable? And this is a legitimate question. Like, I don't know. You remember, and I know Blue Bayou is not a public building, but remember the guy who was taking pictures of little girls' panties or little girls' bikini bottoms at Blue Bayou? This was like a dozen years ago or so. I know, I'm dating myself quickly. But if you're a perv or a pedo or whatever and you've got a camera out, I don't know the difference between you and this justice-seeking warrior who's out there to make sure our rights are being stood up for? I don't know. So if there is a level of uncomfort or discomfort that's created by the scene that he is actively causing, no one's rights were being violated before he walked in. No one's rights were being violated until he created a scenario with which his rights would be violated. So I legitimately don't know. Did they actually have the authority to ask him to leave a public place? As I understand it, you could be asked to leave anywhere. Franz kind of addressed that. Are you guys naive? That's what brought him here. Of course that's what's brought him here. It's what brings him everywhere he goes. It's how he earns a living. It's how he keeps a roof over his head. If he was ignored, would there be a distraction? T-H-E-R-E. If he was ignored, would there be a distraction? So, no. But here's the other part of this. If he was ignored, we never see it. There's no Long Island audit that says, hey, I went to Baton Rouge, and they're doing shit the right way. You're not going to see that video ever, which makes him not a journalist. You're only going to hear the clickbait side of the story. You know what? I got to go back to this. I got to go back because that point needs to be made. When you go fishing and you chum the water, you've created a scenario with which you're going to get your desired outcome. But you're no longer a good fisherman because of it. Who is really causing the distraction and escalating the situation? Okay. You remember the 4-year-olds in the backseat of the car? You remember when you were a kid? If you had a big brother or a big sister, and they put their hand like right here, and they go, I'm not touching you, I'm not touching you, I'm not touching you, I'm not touching you. That's who this guy is. And there's not a scenario with which I'm going to feel any level of sympathy for, I'm not touching you. I don't know how to get past that. No, I either needed a full segment from start to finish or not, and it was better content to do it the way we did it, because more with Franz was better from an on-air and on-demand perspective. And if you wouldn't mind chopping that down to where when I get out from Franz, that's the end of that, and not okay. I don't need to bleed over for that my half-assed take on Brian Flores, which really was a half-assed take at the end of the day. Yes, absolutely. Absolument. Galen says public schools are public, but have controlled visitation privileges. Of course public places have controlled visitation. But a place where I have to go to file my taxes, should that have controlled visitation? I'm shocked Franz had the take he did. I didn't know he represented Brett Buffington, which, by the way, is a name that should be in a comic book. Like, if you're Brett Buffington, you work alongside Clark Kent at the Daily Planet, right? I mean, I talked to Brett once while he was in town, and he's moved on to another market. But I talked to him once while he was in town. Seemed like a good enough dude. I just didn't have it in me to be like, is it your real name? Or are you looking to you're looking to create a persona with this? What are we doing here? Oh, thank you for saying let's check out traffic cameras. That sounds so much cleaner than let's go to the cams. So, I'm in such a Friday mood. What's that old that old TikTok? I'm getting ripped tonight. Actually, I can't. I got adoration in the morning. Getting down to crunch time. For the show and the week, for that matter. We got one segment to go here on Mornings with Brian Haldane, and after the show, I head on over to Blue Bonnet at Perkins, right next door to Rounce's. You're going to find Go Slim Nutrition. I head over there every Friday. Moment of truth. Behaved all week, partook in the program all week. I had my bars, I had my shakes, I got in my exercise. I drank my water. A lot of water. Had a couple of delicious meals as part of the Go Slim Nutrition program, which you can take part in as well. Yeah, you get the bars, the shakes, you got the meals. Diet food. It's diet food. It's good. It's good. I'm not here to sell you on the diet food. When it comes to Go Slim Nutrition, 763-9600, 763-9600. When it comes to Go Slim Nutrition, what it's all about for me is what's going to happen an hour and 4 minutes from right now. I'm going to walk through the front door over there. I'm going to sit down with Vicky or Melody or Lori or whoever's the first one I see when I walk through the front door. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to talk about my week. I'm going to talk about wedding cake, king cake from Matherns. I'm going to talk about somebody bringing jambalaya to the house. I'm going to talk about how I did, what I did right, what I did wrong, how I could do better next week. It's accountability. I call it food confession. We sit down, we have a little chat. I go step on the scale. I see how I actually did. And then I enjoy my weekend, knowing I'm back on the right path to healthier lifestyle choices, back on the right path to losing a few more pounds. I am within reach of being at the weight I graduated high school at. And I'm 45. I'm at a time in my life where my kids are growing up. I need to take this stuff seriously. I've got heart disease in my family. I've got diabetes in my family. From a health perspective, from a just wanting to look good perspective, from a chasing around my 5-year-old perspective, Go Slim Nutrition, GEAUX, slimbr.com, 763-9600. Check out a Jumpstart program. This could be right for you. All right, we got about a minute and a half left. I don't have enough time to dive into another topic. So I'm going to revisit the one we just talked about with Franz. As the videos back up, Long Island Audit, the warrior out for your justice who came down from Long Island, apparently, that's what his name suggests, who came down from Long Island to make sure your rights are protected. I got a couple of comments on YouTube we can address before we get out of here. One of them comes from Joshua, who says, first of all, he says, did they actually have the authority to ask him to leave a public place? Franz addressed most of that. I don't know if he addressed it directly, but you'll get it by checking out what Franz had to say earlier. Joshua goes on to say, if he was ignored, would there be a distraction? Who's really causing the distraction and escalating the situation? I gotta answer that in this way. The guy who brought the knife to a gunfight, the guy who walked through the front door with a camera with the intent of antagonizing, with the intent of instigating, who escalated it? From a legal standpoint, we addressed that. But from a standpoint of play stupid games, win stupid prizes, the guy who walked through the front door saying, I'm going to start something, you're going to finish it, and I'm going to profit off it. Law enforcement's trained on a regular basis to handle this. These guys probably didn't do it the best way they could have. But here's the thing, though. How many countless hours of videotape just gets deleted because nothing went the way that this guy wanted? If you were truly a quote-unquote journalist, you'd see all the law enforcement agencies doing it the right way. If it were truly an audit, you'd see it the right way. Anyway, we got to get out of here. Fox News Rundown's next. Have a great weekend. The number of people within my inner circle, and it's not just Josh, and it's not just Shane, and it's not just the, I forget, the person who emailed me had a series of numbers in their email. Like it was a series of numbers, and it was like at a Hotmail address. I didn't even know those were still a thing. Anyway, and somebody else hit me up on Twitter. I'm shocked with the number of people in my inner circle who were like, all of our rights are now invalid because of what happened to this guy. There should be something that's above the law when it comes to humanity. There should be something that supersedes the written legalese when it comes to humanity. Being a human and being decent to one another ought to involve giving the law enforcement officers the respect on the front end in order to get the respect on the back end. You should treat me, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. So if I'm going to accost you with a camera, if I'm going to weaponize my First Amendment rights, I should expect to be treated the same. If I walk in looking for a fight, I should expect to get a fight. And that's the problem with the whole thing. He got what he was looking for. The officers did not handle things, or deputy. It was the constable's a deputy or an officer. Anyway, either way, they didn't handle it as best they could have. In an ideal world, you would have never seen Long Island Audit, the journalist. You would have never seen this footage in Baton Rouge. Because if things go according to plan or according to the way the textbook says you should go, he doesn't have a realm to make money. But the fact that we have humans in our law enforcement community means that this stuff's going to happen from time to time. People are people. So why should it be? People are people, and we all have a breaking point. And, yeah, he was grabbed by the arm. He was escorted out the building. He was escorted into an elevator, and then he was escorted out the building where he was thrown down a flight of stairs. I don't encourage anyone to watch the video, but if you do, let me know. Was he thrown downstairs? Or is he just a giant P-word? I can't be this hot heading into the weekend. I can't. I got to. You know what was supposed to happen today? The 8:30 to 9 o'clock, we're going to welcome Rocco from Rocco's Po' Boys as a new sponsor of the show. He was supposed to come in today. We're going to have a new segment that's going to be as yat-tastic as the day is long. You know, me and Condon on Monday mornings, we're going to start and end your week the yattiest way possible. Rocco's a Chalmatian, Jake. Chalmette. Chalmatians are from Chalmette. Rocco is going to come in once a month, and we're going to make a sandwich for sure, but we're going to talk about some New Orleans headlines. So we'll reschedule it for next Friday. And I'm already going to tell you what we're going to talk about. Next Friday, altering parade routes. You don't mess with this. You don't reroute Endymion. I've posted up at the same place for 40 years. You better not jack with Toth, or I will riot. It's a Sunday morning. Don't mess with Toth. Any Hoosers. I gotta go to Jazz Mass, and then Toth, St. Francis Xavier Church, off of State Street, New Orleans. It's 1 block away from the route. We go to Mass. We go to the parade. It's a beautiful thing. Anywho, we're going to talk about altering parade routes and the return of the New Orleans Breakers 1 week from today. I actually feel better knowing that next week is going to end better than this week did. You know the top. So you agree with... Oh, crap. Now I can't get out because Troy invoked the Seinfeld... we got to invoke a Seinfeld rule because Troy just brought it up. So you agree with the prosecution of Jerry, George, Elaine, and Kramer in the series finale? No. No, I don't agree with their prosecution. They didn't seek that out. They stumbled upon it. It's a huge difference. And intent is all the difference. I agree they're all worthless human beings because they didn't help. But they didn't seek out law enforcement to pick a fight. None of them have the backbone to pick a fight. So, no, I don't. But Troy, thank you for bringing up Seinfeld before the weekend gets here. I feel so much better. Hey, y'all have a great weekend. Go see Ghost Slim Nutrition. Hey, no, wait, you know what? You're going to need Ghost Slim Nutrition. Go to Mathern's and get a wedding cake king cake. Food porn, for real. Have a great weekend.